This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas, the South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south of the border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Join Jeff Parles and Alex White.
One of my favorite plays here is getting 2 touchdowns with Florida State.
Even though the total's been batted down a little bit, I still think it's okay to go under.
Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo.
I don't think this is a great Kansas City team. I think the Chargers win this game.
All right.
If you see a hook here, it's not going to last long.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Are we sure either of these quarterbacks are good?
Hell no, we're not sure.
Bet your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming live on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome in. It is another edition of Football Frenzy on a Friday. I'm Jeff Parles. She's Alex White, and on the far side of the desks, we got ourselves Vinny Magliulo and Chris Andrews here. I almost said good morning. It's not morning anymore, unless if you're in Hawaii.
Missed it by 1 minute.
Missed about 1 minute. High noon here out on the West Coast. Gentlemen and Alex, it's good to be here, and we got ourselves, last week we got the chaos in college. It wasn't the most pretty card on paper. This card is pretty darn pretty on college for the college card. And the NFL card's pretty darn good this week as well.
There was a lot of chaos in the NFL last week.
Well, finally you beat some 7+ point favorites outright for once.
Last night wasn't so bad either.
Yeah.
We closed that game 8. They pounded us late on because all week I talked to Joe. Joe Holler told me when he left yesterday, left like at 1, we needed Philly. We needed Philly. By the time they kicked off, we did not need Philly. I can tell you that. So they pounded us on the Eagles and a lot of teasers, money line, everything, and scooped it up pretty good.
Pretty good. That's all you can ask for. And I still can't believe how good Jackson Dart has looked so far in his first 3 career starts.
Well, we'll talk about this during pro football.
Sure.
But I sent out those metrics, and I had an exchange with one guy. He says, boy, it's just kind of surprising, blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, but if you looked at the Giants, they were like number 10, I think. They hadn't played. They haven't scored like a number 10 offense. But I said, sometimes these little things that I'm doing, I said, I wouldn't take any of this to the bank yet. But they may give you some tip-offs as to maybe some hidden situations that are going on that may come to fruition at some point. And then that Giant offense exploded yesterday. Scatterboo and Jackson Dart. Which one's going to be Rookie of the Year? I'm not sure. But right now, they're probably the 2 leaders in the club.
Them and Ibuka right now, the 3 leaders in the clubhouse right now for O'Rourke.
One's going to be mayor and the other one's going to be governor.
Very well, maybe. Well, New Jersey or New York, Vinny. Maybe one in each
One
state.
of each?
One in each state at this point. Giants win their first Thursday night game since Eli Manning was the quarterback, by the way. So it's been a while.
A minute.
All right, let's go into college football. Vinny, we always start with you on these Friday games, and we have 3 tonight. And We'll just rattle through them real quick. North Texas and South Florida, humongous game in the American Athletic.
Yep.
1.5 right now here at the South Point with the Mean Green at home. 2s available across the landscape as well. Fresno 6.5. That's market high right now on the Bulldogs against the Rams of Colorado State. And an 11.5 he just moved to on UW, which is also market high right now.
Nice little Friday card, 4:30, 6 o'clock, and 6 o'clock for the start time. So, yeah, you mentioned it, Jeff, that the North Texas game, this is going to determine who's the leader in the conference after this game. And a change of favorites. South Florida opened as a 1-point favorite here at South Point, Chris, on Monday morning. And the players have spoken. And now North Texas is 1.5, as you mentioned. 67, not a lot of movement on that total. North Texas did not play last week, for those of you who like to factor in a bye. Fresno State and Colorado State, 6.5 on the open. And it's pretty steady the whole time with the road favorite sitting at 6.5. A move to the over at 47.5. Got as high as 49 at one point, Chris, on this total. And then Rutgers and Washington. Washington rebounded nicely last week after they lost at home to Ohio State, and they responded last week, and that's why I think folks have taken them to the back. 2 points to the move on Washington, now 11.5, and 61 on the total, Chris.
Excuse me, I moved that North Texas game pretty quick because I thought North Texas should have been the favorite. But, they're showing that now. But it was money that moved us, but I just moved a little quickly. I kind of like Colorado State a little bit, but, boy, I'm not sure if they've thrown in the towel or whatever. My numbers come a lot lower, but I don't think I could play Colorado State. But that last game, I didn't touch this last game. But I was listening to the Gill show this morning, and he had Dr. Bob on. And Dr. Bob's been on a roll. I think he's 8-1.
He's doing some absurd number
he's
right now.
Killing it. This was one of his games of the week. He loves Washington. And he went through everything about why, I guess, Rutgers, I can't remember from one year to the next, but Rutgers won the game last year on a bizarre play where a Washington player came off the bench and celebrated and drew a penalty, and Rutgers got to kick the field goal again or whatever.
21-18, they won the game.
And wound up winning the game. But he went through a lot of numbers too, just besides revenge, which means something. But this was his game. He loved Washington, and I'm not sure if Bob moved the number or what. But after that show, we got a ton of money on Washington. My numbers don't come that high, but I respect the hell out of Dr. Bob, and you could find a lot worse guys to follow than Dr. Bob.
We didn't really have a lot this morning for these 3 games, but I do lean that way with Washington. And Vinny made a great point. It was impressive after that Iowa State loss, go to Maryland, and it wasn't pretty.
Come from behind, too. Maryland was in control of that game.
20-point comeback last week.
Yeah.
North Texas is the one I like tonight. Yeah. I just think they're really good.
I do too.
I mean, that's it, just more than that. And
I hate to tell you, I made North Texas 4.
I don't know if I like your number better, but it's close.
It's close.
Definitely, for betting purposes, definitely don't like your number better because I want North Texas. But I think South Florida got a little bit overrated just because they beat Florida when Florida really just sleptwalked that whole game. But it's a good game. Very important game in the American Athletic that has, there are 5 teams in that league right now that you can make an argument for that could get into the college football playoff. These 2, Navy, Memphis, Tulane, who won last night. This is a really good league in the AAC. All right, let's go to tomorrow, and let's begin in Cincinnati, Ohio, Alex.
Wait, we're not going to do Massachusetts and Kent State?
Oh, well, hold on. Is that the 2 worst teams in the country for you now, or no?
That might be the worst football game. I've only been doing this since 1979. Might be the worst football game that I've ever had to make a number on.
1 win between them in 9 games, right?
Yep.
10 games. 10 games.
Well,
right?
Somebody's going to win this game.
Kent State beat the football powerhouse Merrimack in week 1. So there you go.
Well, they did take the 3 for what it's worth with Massachusetts.
Okay, good for the bettors.
And two and a half.
Somebody's going to cash a ticket on this game too.
Somebody's going to get it.
I don't know who.
Down to 2.
Unbelievable. 51 the total on that one between Kent State and UMass. I'm sorry, Chris. I should have asked about that first. All right, let's go to Cincy, though, Alex. Bearcats kind of a darling right now. They get the big win in Lawrence 2 weeks ago, and then the whole world seemingly was on them last week, and they won and they covered, even though it got a little spicy at the end. Alex, we're at 10.5 here with the Bearcats and a 54.5 on this game.
Almost made the card here with Cincinnati at home. I made them 14, so I think they could cover this. I'm just a little concerned because I think that had a lot to do with Iowa State and the defensive players that they were missing. I don't like how they let them back into that game, even though they got out to a really good lead there. But quarterback's been great. Brendan Sorsby completing 66% of his passes, 1,275 yards, 12 touchdowns, just 1 INT. But Jackson on the other side, I mean, no interceptions for him, just 3 passing touchdowns, also 3 rushing, though, so he can use his legs. So it's a lean for the home team here at 10.5, but I haven't fired on it yet.
I'm kind of with you. I made the number 13, so it didn't quite make my card, but it was borderline. Really been impressed with Cincinnati. I wasn't so sure. I thought maybe they just played some weak defenses, but otherwise, I think their offense really is pretty good. And, I mean, I hate to say this, I sound kind of a little square, but the truth is, like a lot of favorites cover in college football. You can't just go in blanket saying, I'm going to bet all dogs. If you do, you're going to eliminate probably at least half the winners on the board. So I kind of like the favorite here. Didn't quite make my board, but I'm leaning that way.
Just aside, so last year, right, Cincinnati 19-13. The last 3 meetings have been 1-score games with these two, and I think that had something to do with folks taking the 11.
On 2 teams that have more than just Big 12 familiarity. Of course, we're in the American together for all those years as well. All right, Chris, I hate to do this next, but let's go to Happy Valley. That was last week, because we didn't get the chance to talk about it earlier in the week. That was quite possibly the worst loss, definitely of the playoff era, period, for any of these quote-unquote playoff caliber teams. They were dominated for 2.5 quarters, too, in that game. It was flabbergasting what happened. Now they return home. They at least get to see, Penn State gets to see Northwestern here. Maybe that's a good thing. They're 3 touchdowns. It's 48, but talk about all the juice being out of the bottle at this point on Penn State.
Everything you said is correct. The thing is, that should not have happened with a loss to Oregon.
Correct.
Arguably the best team in the country. Okay, they're certainly in the top couple. You lost to Oregon, and I mean it was a bad loss. Aller threw a bad pass. All that, but they had like a nice comeback in the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
They were getting beat.
Reasonable. Yeah.
They were getting beat for more than 3 quarters. Yeah. They came back. They made it. That should not have ripped your heart out. It should not have, but it did. I mean, they looked from the beginning of the game last week. You could see they were not in it. Their hearts weren't in it. Think of any other adjectives you can come up with, but I mean, they just were lethargic. And they tried to make a comeback, but they dug themselves too big of a hole. And I don't know. Boy, disappointment doesn't even come close to expressing my feelings on what happened here. Like I said, the Oregon game, forgivable, absolutely. Sure. That didn't cost them that much. They were still certainly in the playoff hunt when you lose the number 1 team, even though it was at home and and all that. But if you remember, I gave out Oregon. I said I thought Oregon was going to beat them, but I never dreamt that they could lose to UCLA. Never dreamt that. So we'll see how they respond.
Well, Northwestern's been pretty good tonic for Penn State over the years, right? With 16 out of 21 wins. I think, though, when you get back to that, to Chris, you bring up an important point. That's up to the coaching staff to identify that during the week of practice. You can get the vibe. Listen, I get it. It was they were down after that loss, and especially losing at the end like that on a turnover. Credit Oregon. You mentioned it. They're one of the top. Certainly top 3. In fact, I have them I've got them number 2, just a point behind Ohio State in my power rating. So, but as a staff, especially as a head coach, you've got to identify the vibe of the team during the course of the week. That didn't just happen when they got to the Rose Bowl. No. They were down the entire week. The trip had to be a miserable trip. That'd be an even worse trip going home. So you wonder what their mindset is. But here they are, 3-point favorites for a reason. It's against a Northwestern team that they've had success against.
21-48. It's just pick Penn State to win the title before the year, and now they have to win out in the regular season, which includes a trip to Columbus. Good luck.
That's all.
Good luck, and that's it. And it doesn't even matter if they beat Indiana at Beaver in November. It's over. You're not getting there 9-3 with even with 2 losses to potentially the number 1 and number 2 seeds. That UCLA loss was unforgivable. It was an unforgivable loss.
They'll be, they'll probably make a New Year's Day bowl, probably, but I wouldn't write that in stone either.
Yeah, make one of the high-end bowls for sure. All right, ACC. But there are a lot of just like middling ACC games this week. You have Clemson and Boston College, where Boston College is a 2-touchdown underdog at Clemson. You have Florida State, who's a 10-point favorite at home. Talk about the shine coming off with Florida State the last 2 weeks, even though they're still ranked by the pollsters. Vinny, we all know polls
don't determine prices. Yeah. Yes.
Put on a T-shirt.
That's right.
This one will be interesting, though, and I'm glad that Bruce Marshall was in here this week and brought this to our attention about Pittsburgh and them starting the freshman quarterback last week against BC, and, I mean, they blew him out. So I am intrigued by this one.
Yeah, Mason Henchstell, who was spectacular last week in a game where I think Pitt is still scoring on Boston College, 48-7 a week ago. And then just going to this one and Vincennes, Georgia Tech. Look, if the ACC is going to be a multiple bid playoff conference league, they're going to need Georgia Tech to be the team that ends up being the second one. I know Virginia has a path, but they already have a loss on the ledger. I think it's going to be hard for them to go undefeated the rest of the way. Georgia Tech is a 2-touchdown-and-a-half favorite against Virginia Tech, 14.5 and 55 down at home in Atlanta for this one.
Well, we saw this Georgia Tech resurrection really start with the program resurrection start last year, right? But they went into at Virginia Tech. They got beat last year, like 21-6. Now they come in off a bye here, so I could see support for Georgia Tech. I mean, to remain undefeated. Not really. I see they took 15. Okay, a little bit down to 14.5. But I have to believe, Chris, we're going to need the Hokies in this one.
Yeah, I made the number 19. Yeah. I like Virginia or Georgia Tech. I think they've got a good team, and part of my number is anti-Virginia Tech too. I don't think they're very good, and I think that's the kind of team that can get kind of run out of the stadium. I'm not sure Georgia Tech can do. I made it 19. Again, didn't quite make my board, but I most certainly thought about it.
I'm with you. And if that hook wasn't there, it probably would have. But that 14.5 kind of scares me off of this one. But I like the fact that Georgia Tech's coming in off a bye, and Haynes King was a little beat up. We saw that in a couple weeks. And, I mean, probably the team that needed the rest the most. So still impressed with him. Has not thrown an interception, 6 rushing touchdowns, 3 passing. And on the other side, I'm still a little concerned with Kyron Jones. So I definitely like that side. Just don't love the number.
Gonna stay out. Gonna stay out of this. It's just so interesting with Georgia Tech. I mean, looking at the remainder of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket schedule, they are after this week they go to Durham against Duke, Duke is playing better. Duke is playing better. That is a very tough game. That is a difficult game.
That's a tough game. Yeah.
If they get by that, the remaining conference games are Syracuse at home without Angeli. Syracuse is one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the ACC. At NC State. Perennially beatable. At Boston College, same deal. Pitt, who knows with this quarterback change.
Right.
Then you're at the Georgia game.
Where's the Pitt game?
That is in Atlanta, which is good because that would have been a little tricky if they had to go up there in late November.
Yeah, not awful travel either.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, regional. It's still time zone-wise, things like that work out
they actually didn't get either of the West Coast teams this year. So...
Don't get me started.
I know.
You mean they don't have to go cross country a couple of times?
No, the path is there for Georgia Tech to get to the ACC title game at 11-1 with a loss to Georgia. Like that path is there.
Yeah,
that's. I think if they're 11-1 and don't get blown out by both Georgia and Miami, I think they're going at 11-2 to the playoff if that happened to be the case. All right, for something a little bit different now. Wisconsin was a little bit better last week, Chris. played Michigan pretty tough. They covered a number pretty easily when it's all said and done. They now welcome Iowa. It's 3 now. And we got Iowa totals back, Chris. It took us a while, but we're finally back.
Yeah, it's actually a Wisconsin total, I think. Excuse me for interrupting.
No problem. But 37 on this total. They did take the hook, though, with Wisconsin from 3.5 to 3.
Yeah, I mean, I made the number 2. You bet on a Wisconsin team that's occasionally been horrible, or you bet on an Iowa team, well, that the total will tell you can't score. Yeah. So I think it's a tough game. I think it's an interesting game. Again, I made it 2, certainly not enough to play. Gun to my head, I probably would have taken the 3.5, but again, it didn't make my board. But I think it's going to be an interesting game to watch.
I did take the 3 here with Wisconsin. It's an ugly dog, but Jeff mentioned it, playing a little bit better and comparing their defensive stats. And we know how good Iowa's defense is, allowing 17.8 points per game. Wisconsin, 19.8 points per game allowed. They're great against the run, 2.9 yards per carry. I know Gronowski's been throwing a little more, but still just 3 touchdowns to 2 INTs. Their identity is to run the football. So I think it's going to be a battle here, and I think that field goal is worth it.
You know, when you look at history, sometimes what we have in this day and age, what we have to take into account is how much the transfer portal impacted these programs, right? I mean, you have Iowa with 3 straight wins and covers against Wisconsin. They won by like 30 or over 30 last year. But there's not that there's been a tremendous amount of turnover for Iowa. So, you know, that history means more than if you look at a North Carolina where there's, over 60 or 70 players that changed and come in and out of the program. So when you're looking at recent history, pay attention to how much the roster turnover has come into play. But Iowa here, you know, short road favorite. You know, a few years ago, this would have been, Wisconsin a 3-point favorite. But the programs are going in 2 different directions.
Vinny, I was listening to Nick Saban this morning, and he made a great point about the whole transfer portal and everything else. And Nick, he got out like at the right time. You know, the game has changed so much in the last 2 years. And he was saying, you know, kids used to grow up, not used to, I mean, like 3 years ago. Kids would grow up, I want to play for Georgia. I want to play for LSU.
Right.
I want to play for Alabama. I want to play for Penn State. I want to play for Michigan. I want to play for Ohio State. Whatever. Run down the list. All these great teams there. That's your goal. Now it's, I want to pay for the guys that are going to pay me the most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and if it happens to be Wake Forest, then that's where they're going. I'm not sure Wake Forest has the money, but you know what I'm saying.
Sure.
That's going to be a big indicator as to where these kids are going to go. Not growing up being a favored, a fan of a Georgia or an LSU or something like that.
The one positive I would say is the kids that were sitting behind the starters at Georgia and Alabama that are really good too. Now they're going other places so they can play right away and make a little money as well.
Yeah.
But so that's the positive, right? We have seen a lot of really good play now spread out.
Well, you know, obviously I'm a lot, not Vinny, but I'm a lot older than the rest of you guys. We remember the days, Vinny, when Alabama had 120 guys on their roster on scholarship, and that took away 40 guys from the rest of, schools. Now, maybe not from Georgia, but certainly from like, Appalachian State or Southern Miss or, schools like that. Those kids might never have seen the field. They were lucky to get on the practice field, but Alabama had them wrapped up. And I'm just pointing out Alabama. Georgia did the same thing. And
Nebraska.
Ohio State, Nebraska, they all did that.
There was a great SI cover back in the 70s. The number one this week, the number one team in the country will play the number 2 team in the country, and it was the intra-squad game between Nebraska
on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Nebraska's offense against Nebraska's defense.
Pretty,
right? Yeah, there you go.
Remember that cover?
Oh man! All right, let's go to East Lansing next. UCLA, who we already mentioned a bunch. I mean, look, we can detract Penn State all we want. UCLA still had to go out there and win the game, and Nico Maliava was spectacular last Saturday, and that.
Yeah, once all year, and it happened to be against Penn State.
I know.
Too soon.
Too soon, for sure. 8, Vinny, on this one with Michigan State, but this is going down across the market.
Well,
7.5. Well, you guys opened 7.5, back up, and now it's
went as high as 8.5. So, I mean, I'm not surprised that it went up. I think, maybe a letdown spot, more opportunities and more situations for letdown spots in college football than the pros, and I could see that here. I think, I could see you taking the 8.5 at one point with UCLA, with the thought maybe they've turned things around. Remember last year, they finished the season strong. They started off poorly, finished strong. I think they caught Penn State at the right time last week emotionally, as we talked about. I wouldn't be shocked if this number goes back up, though.
I was looking to bet against UCLA this week after he had such a huge letdown and everything, but the numbers really didn't indicate it. I made the number 7.5. So I mean, it's. I was hoping maybe it'd be like a 6 or something like that. But I think a lot of guys thinking like me and like Vinny said too, they're looking for probably a letdown. But like I said, the numbers really didn't indicate it, but I think the bettors will by post time.
Well, and not to mention you got a good team there hosting, and you talked about them from the beginning of the year. And then when they played Boston College, I thought I was going to be following Boston College all year, but now, I mean, they've definitely gotten my attention here, Michigan State, but too many unknown variables going into this, and like you said, the number's just right.
We'll move to the next one. I have nothing else to add here. It would make a lot of sense if UCLA got drilled in this game after that shocker a week ago. All right, Chris, one team you moved up a lot over the last few weeks is Texas Tech. And Lubbock is the center of the Big 12 right now. There's no doubt about it. Even though, Ryan, I know you tweeted about this too. What are we doing with the new logo that's coming in next year? Like, it's awful. They got rid of all. It's just flat. It looks terrible. But that doesn't make point spreads. I know, Vinny. Even though I got a good one in the NFL.
Keep going.
That you're gonna like. 14 in this game. But Chris, you've moved them up a ton, and you know what? They're the only team in the country to outgain all their opponents by 200-plus yards. Now, granted, they haven't played the best of schedules, but still, I don't care if you're playing Kent State 2 out of the 5 games. That's pretty darn impressive when you're doing 200-plus yards of your opponents every single game.
Well, we knew they had a lot of money and revamped that roster, and we had some questions about quarterback. Quarterback play has been great. Now, this week, once again, I made the number 17.5 before I saw the injuries to their offensive line. They got 2 guys questionable, 1 guy out on their offensive line. We have talked about it quite a bit on this show, about how the offensive line is easily overlooked when we are looking at injuries, particularly cluster injuries. Now, here's a cluster right here. Now, I don't know if the 2 questionable guys, I don't know if they're playing or not. That was enough to scare me off the play. But I will say this. I was hoping to find a stray number on them to win the national championship, and I couldn't find anything good enough to get me to play. I was hoping for like maybe a 50-1, and I think I saw a 35 somewhere, But I'm gonna wait. But I got to tell you, I think this team's live. I mean, they had the new roster, the new quarterback. Takes a while for that to come together. Didn't take that long for this team to come together. They've come together pretty good. And listen, somebody's going to come from this conference and get a seat at the table. I don't know if it's going to be 2 teams, probably only 1. But right now, they look like the one. And I tell you what, this is a damn good team. And, injuries aside, I would still take Texas Tech gun to my head. But I'd be a little careful here because of the injuries.
I was pretty intrigued by the dog here. I might have actually used it in my review journal, taking the 14 with Kansas. Like you said, the injuries. I don't know how many I'm going to use it on or straight bet it, because I was on Houston last week and they really had no shot in that one at home. Biggest game of the year for them. So Texas Tech has been very, very impressive. The one thing I think the Jayhawks have is 9.4 yards per attempt. Jalen Daniels has been so much better this year. The Jalen Daniels we were expecting the few years past. The next best team, so Houston was 44th in yards per attempt and Utah 93rd. So I think maybe Texas Tech can be got in this way if Kansas can try and fling it around here. But it's going to be a tough one. Texas Tech, the other thing is they've just been so flawless. Like every single week, they might trip up a little bit here. You're getting 2 touchdowns. I don't know. That's my rationale here for Kansas. I didn't make it that high, and I've adjusted Texas Tech, but maybe I'm too high on Kansas right now.
Well, look, both these teams are still in the mix with the conference. That's the other thing, right? To pay attention to the conference standings. Look at overall standings, but look at how teams position themselves. I mean, it's a big game. It's probably more important for Kansas, but Texas Tech doesn't overlook that. They're kind of like, remember last year it was more ASU was that up tempo like attack team, and SMU, which is they're still trying to do it, but they just don't have the personnel, and I think teams have figured them out. But Texas Tech, they're always in games because they find ways to just keep attacking and scoring points. They're very aggressive and up tempo. So they did lay this at one point, and they got as high as 15 early in the week. Probably anything above 14 is going to be taken, or maybe a wait and see approach.
Just curious to see if this number goes higher. If not, Kansas defense played terribly against Cincinnati, cost them that game. Last week, I thought they got pretty lucky, even though they were the better team in the second half. I don't know what Central Florida was doing when they got close to the goal line at the end of the game. But, hey, look, Leipold's always capable of at least keeping his team in the ball game here.
Yeah, he's an A1 coach for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now for another game in the Midwest. A huge game for the Missouri Tigers at home, a crack at Alabama. Chris, I've been only saying to Alex all week, I am so sad this number came this short, because I was fully prepared to get something like a 4.5, a 5, a better money line price on Mizzou, and I would have been all over it.
God, you're greedy. Come on, we're on a budget,
Well, I have 2 technically, but 3.
Yeah.
It's been stuck there the whole week, which tells me the number's right.
Yeah.
And 52.5 to 51.5. This is a huge game for both of these teams, where Bama's already got the 1 loss on the ledger. You got to be careful with 3. 3 is pretty much the max, unless if it comes in the SEC title game for any of these SEC teams. And Missouri, again, this is 6th straight home game, and you get a shot at a legitimate top 10 team in your building.
I made it 3.5.
Okay.
So when I made it 3.5, I was thinking, boy, I was kind of like you, Jeff. I thought, is this game going to come like 6 or something like that? And then I'm licking my chops thinking, man, I'm going to be all over Missouri. But it came 3. So I think the 3.5 number is good. But I may have said this I think I might have said it to Alex, earlier in the week. I had an old New York bookmaker used to tell me, he says, price tells you the winner. And this is one of those where, is it too cheap on Alabama? Personally, I kind of think it is a little bit, but it's also, if price is telling you the winner, when would you expect Missouri to only be a 3-point dog against Alabama?
I'm going to go almost never.
Yeah. Maybe in the Bobby Douglas days, you might be too young to remember that
am on
too.
That one, yeah.
But I'm obviously going to lay off this game. I hope we write 2 tons of business on this one, which I think we will. And I just hope it doesn't come anywhere near the numbers. All I'm hoping.
Well, then I hope Mizzou pulls off the upset here, because I'm taking the 3. I'm using it in multiple contests. I like Missouri. I think the trick here could be the run game with Hardy, who is the nation's leading rusher. And then, of course, Bo Pribula is a dual threat quarterback. If you look at the Florida State, it was really the difference in the rushing yards. They outrushed them over 230 to 87. Georgia couldn't do that. They outrushed them, but they still gave up over 100 rushing yards. And I think that Missouri has a chance to do that, control the clock, not give them the ball back, and hang around in this one. Plus, it's the spot, because Bama, they wanted that one against Georgia. They wanted revenge against Vandy. Missouri's had 2 weeks to prepare for this one, and they got shut out last year. So they definitely are going to be prepared.
I love Pribula.
Yeah.
Sick that he left Penn State, but I don't blame the kid, at all. But boy, that kid's been good.
34-0 last year in Tuscaloosa. Yeah, no, great. Listen, action for both teams. My thing is, I wish the game wasn't a 9 o'clock Pacific game.
It's a 9 o'clock game.
I mean, it's kind of a weird start.
It's
front loaded for whatever reason. Alabama still. You mentioned the loss, Jeff. It's outside the conference too, right? Again, pay attention to the conference standings here. This is as big a game for Missouri in a long time, bud. And so, how are they going to handle? I think. How do they handle the emotion of it and all the factors that we're talking about? The emotion, the fact that they're undefeated. They've been thinking about this game and preparing for this game for 2 weeks, as Alex pointed out. Last year's loss, and you know what? The fact that they're getting respect with this number. They're only an under, and maybe that's another thing too. Hey, we're at home here. This is our field. Why aren't we? They're making us underdogs. So it depends on how they respond to it. Alabama has not started games particularly quick either. So
I was just going to say Missouri first half might be a good bet.
So it's going to be I think a great game. Again, selfishly, I wish it was a later start though from a business standpoint.
I'll be on the Tigers. I just, again,
shocking.
I know, right?
I've
only been saying it for a few weeks.
Does everybody know you're an alum?
Hopefully at this point. But I mean, how many cracks are you going to get that actually genuinely knock off Alabama with this program? Not many.
Nope.
Not many. And this feels like the big crack to do it. By the way, the odds, as always, to score the first touchdown in the 9 a.m. slate. Remember, time of game, not time of day.
Thank
Vinny,
you.
that is contractually obligated at this point.
By the way, we did have an inquiry about that last week.
It's not every week.
The guy was even pointing at his watch. He's like looking like this. Oh, yeah.
Who was it scored 12 seconds into the game? They returned the opening kick.
It was beautiful.
That's good.
I'm thinking this guy's got to be a listener, and he's just doing it to.
I think he's just doing it to.
It was classic.
We knows that Illinois stuff pretty good. So.
By the way, SMU is your betting favorite, 6-1 on the ponies for that. All right, some stuff in the chat to clean up real quick, including us going back to a game that was earlier in the rotation numbers that got requested here. Vinny, I know you have a shout out. I have a shout out as well. Jerry, up in Washington State, gave us a super chat last week, so thank you as always, Jerry. Always love the kind words that you happen to say. And Vinny, you had someone as well.
Jeff Z from Toronto.
That's Jeff with a G, isn't it?
No, it's Jeff with a G. Yes, yeah. Geoff, Jeff. And I don't want to. I can't pronounce his last name. I'll take a stab. Zashadny. I think I don't know if that's correct or not, but fine young man. He came by the counter last. He was here in town for G2E, the gaming conference, and he works for Covers up in Toronto. Listens to the show, enjoys it very much, and as always, we appreciate obviously the folks that listen. They get in on the chat and they watch and stuff, but always like it when somebody comes by the counter. So he had a late flight last night back to Toronto, but he took the time to come by and make a few plays, say hello, and knock off a few dogs at the hot dog stand. So thanks, Jeff, for coming by and saying hello, and thanks for tuning in.
And then in the chat also, there was a request from Robert in a game that we didn't touch earlier. Just real quick, Chris, all the way back at the top of 123, 124. Navy is 10 at Temple and a total of 52.5. The midshipmen are one of those teams who's in the mix at the top of the American Athletic.
I made it a lot lower. I saw that Navy defense last week against against the Air Force. I like Temple in this game. If you can get over the 7, which I think is pretty much out there, right? Isn't it mostly 7.5?
10.
10. It's up to 10. They laid everything from 7.5. Yeah, they laid everything from 7.5 up to 10.
Yeah, I mean, I think Temple can hang in there. They have Navy has the kind of defense where you can get the by the way backdoor touchdown on. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I even like that at 7. I was looking at my opening numbers. We opened at 7.5.
Yeah.
I even like Temple at that point.
Yeah,
So
Navy by 27 at Annapolis last year.
What was it, Vinny?
27. They won 38-11 last year. Okay. So Temple remembers that, I'm sure.
All right, let's go real quick to another interesting one, to put it politely. Chris, Ole Miss is a ginormous favorite against Wazoo, but this is more of just looking forward to Ole Miss. By the way, 32 just shows how far Wazoo has fallen, that they're almost 5 touchdowns in another power conference team. Ole Miss, another big riser over the last few weeks, Chris.
Yeah. Well, Ole Miss is hard for me to get a power rating on because they will blow out the inferior teams. And you have to put that in your number at some point. but how do they respond when they're playing the better teams? So, I mean, this is the kind of team that they will blow out, and Lane Kiffin shows no mercy. You know, when these kind of situations show. Yeah, again, it might be a different story when he's playing, whether it's Alabama or LSU or Georgia or whatever. So they're a hard team for me to power rate. But I got to tell you, I'd have a tough time playing the dog in this one. I think you'd be holding on the whole game and just hoping Lane through, the quarterback throws an interception or fumbles or has a bad penalty or something like that to keep it under the number.
Especially Tulane, I would say, is a much better football team than Washington State. And we saw what happened with them against this Ole Miss team, and they're really good. They're at the top of the SEC right now. So I thought that number was correct right here, around 30. So it was nothing for me.
I've always everybody at the desk and everybody listening knows that I always scream about some of these matchups, right? And why don't you, when you get out of conference, and here we are in the middle of the season now, they get out of conference. At least they're not playing, some of the even below, group of 5 teams, but they're still, they did take 33 in this game. Why?
Wow.
Probably because Ole Miss goes on the road to Georgia and Oklahoma after this game too, for huge conference games. So maybe that's got something to do with it, and to everything that we've talked about. But they did take the opening number of 33.
All right, let's go to Boulder next, guys. Iowa State off their first loss of the year in Cincinnati last week, now against Colorado, who is it's a little bit messy for Coach Prime and company up in Boulder. Vinny, it's 3 here at the South Point. There's a bunch of 2.5 in the market, but they did take the 3.5.
They did take the opener,
guys, in a total of 52.
Yeah, the opener was 3.5, and they grabbed it. I guess just a grab on the number. Iowa State, they dodged a few close calls during their first 5 games before last week. But who's been more consistent between the two teams overall? It's obviously been Iowa State, and Colorado's trying to figure out, how to get consistent and a new identity. It's such a drop off from, the graduates. Sanders and Hunter in particular, everything went through them, both offensively and defensively. When you consider Hunter, and I think folks thought that Coach Sanders was probably going to do, or maybe he even thought that there was going to be a better level of recruit and transfer. Hasn't happened yet.
No.
You look at the two teams, and they're kind of diametrically opposite in a lot of ways. Things are hanging in the balance, and up until last week, Iowa State has had things go their way. Things are hanging in the balance for Colorado, and things have not gone that way. Now, does that regress to the mean or not? I don't know. I was listening to Gil's show this morning. Chris Felique was on. He likes the dog here. He thinks that Colorado's been this close but hasn't been able to put it all together. I kind of like the other way. I just don't think – first of all, I'm not sure Deion's heart's in it like it was last year. Just doesn't seem like the same coach, and he's had success everywhere he's gone. But I think this was not only a drop off from last year's talent level. I think it's enthusiastically. Listen, you had your own 2 kids playing, plus the Heisman Trophy winner, by the way.
Sure.
How can you not be enthused at that? And he's had trouble finding a quarterback or establishing a quarterback. I like Iowa State in this game. I think that. I'm not sure if this actually made my my list or not. I mean, it was borderline, but this may wind up being one of my plays. I like Iowa State here.
Throw in his physical situation for Coach Sanders.
Right.
And I think he had another procedure this week.
I think he did,
for some clots.
Yep.
So, you certainly wish him well. I mean, God, but what he's gone through physically has been very difficult health-wise.
I made it 1, so it didn't really catch my eye at first, but then I like to compare with my dad's power ratings, and he made Colorado a 1.5-point favorite here. So I did take the dog 3.5, but we'll use the 3 on contest. But to your point, Chris, I mean, they were in that TCU game. Colorado, they keep finding ways to shoot themselves in the foot, and you can't predict turnovers. I'm praying that they can play a clean game. They had 3 turnovers against TCU and lost that one by 15, and I think they could have won it. So Iowa State still some injuries on the defensive side, and I'm hoping Colorado State can take advantage. I think they've been better since they've let Caden Salter use his legs as well, because now he's got 5 rushing touchdowns on the year, 7 passing to 4 INTs. Let's not throw into any trouble here. But so I'm taking a shot here. And maybe they use that. They're playing for their coach here. So
I have no feel for this game at all. No feel.
Maybe in game, maybe.
Maybe if you told me Colorado would go win this game outright, I wouldn't be shocked. If you told me Iowa State got themselves back, now injuries you got to monitor on the Clone side, but yeah, tough, really tough game. Let's go to another one that's in the mountains. These mountains up in Salt Lake City, Utah has been bet today because it came down that Sam Levitt has been moved to doubtful for the Arizona State Sun Devils, which is really bad news for them. Their best player, their heart and soul. And Chris, it's funny. I was reading an article earlier, and it said journeyman quarterback Jeff Sims, which is great that we're using that wording on college.
In college, yeah.
It's true. We'll likely get the start for Arizona State. It's 8.5 and 45. I don't know. How high is too high in this game is really the question.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I even before the injury, I liked Utah in this game. My numbers came to 9. So now with the quarterback injury, I mean, I think it should be above 9, even though I have one of the lowest numbers on the board. But of course, we got bet on the dog though too. But I like spoiler alert, in the Westgate contest, I could lay 6. I'm going to lay the 6. I don't know where you could find anything. Maybe a Phoenix bookmaker hasn't gotten news yet, and you can find a 6 there. But otherwise, I'm definitely going to lay the 6. But it's going to be hard to find any value. But I still think there's some value even in anything under 9, because, like I said, I made it 9 legitimately. So I will be on them in the Westgate contest.
I pretty much just copy what Chris said. I made it 8 before the news and was looking to play Utah, trying to, figure out why they were such a small favorite here at home. I know Arizona State is really good, but that offense has run through Sam Levitt, especially since losing Sbtb. So I think they're gonna struggle here. And Utah has a lot to prove. I mean, there was a bounce back spot last week after the first real test they had in Texas Tech did not go their way. So now they're back at home. So I think they'll be ready for this.
And the Sun Devils have struggled here at Utah. So a little bit of altitude. Right, again, one of the real good home fields. And perhaps a little payback. It was a close game last year, 1-score game, 27-19. So in favor of ASU down in the desert.
All right, let's go to Los Angeles next. This is a pretty good game. Michigan on the road at the Coliseum against USC. Vinny, we're shy of 3. It is toggled.
2.5 and 3. Yep.
Which means we know what number you can have.
Thank you.
No problem.
By the way, 2 games did fall last night, which I know gave you a little.
Oh, I won on 2 lanes, so that was okay. The other one.
Okay.
Okay, I'm
good
sorry.
For you.
I'm sorry on the other one, but I won
Merry
2
Christmas.
lanes, so we're all good. 57.5 to 56.5 on the total of this one, Vinny.
Yeah, well, SC with 2 weeks off, right, to get ready for this game. By the way, no time issues here. You know what I mean?
They'll be awake.
No complaining from
no complaining for 9
so
o'clock.
Far, I should say
9 o'clock start by them for their bodies at Illinois a couple of weeks ago. But a good game. Michigan. This was a close game at Ann Arbor last year. I think it was just a field goal. So both these teams, and again, here you have a field goal too. So both 4-1. Again, conference game. I still, like Chris, got to do a triple take to say, oh, yeah, this is a conference game. But, yeah, laying 2.5 with SC, taking 3 with Michigan. Not a real surprise, Chrissy.
Well, I'm thinking back of Bo Schemblich versus John McKay and a Rose Bowl game, not a conference game. Everybody knows I've been on USC from the beginning of the year. I like this team a lot. Michigan has gotten much better, though, during the course of the season. A lot of it has to do with Underwood, the quarterback, who is, very raw. He's still a raw freshman, but he's playing very well. He started out a little shaky, but he's gotten better and better every week. I still like USC in this game. I just still, listen, I have a ticket in my pocket on them to win the national championship. That would be a miracle, but, it's never over till it's over, I guess. But I do like them in this spot. I think the number's cheap enough where I think you could lay and just hope they win the game, and then they should cover this number.
I'm with you. I like USC a lot here. Vinny mentioned coming off at bye. After that loss to Illinois, get things right. And Bryce Underwood has been better, but we got to slow down a little bit. I mean, looking at his numbers, completing 59% of his passes, a little over 1,000 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Now he does have 200 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. But let's look at Jaden Mayava's numbers, completing 71% of his passes, over 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns, 1 INT, 11.4 yards per attempt. He's leading the conference right now. They're leading the conference. Oklahoma beat Michigan at home, and John Mateer passed for 270, had a pick and a passing touchdown and 2 rushing touchdowns. I think that it's very similar, and I think this offense is going to be a little much. Now, I know Michigan was in that game, but I think they have by far the better offense, and we know Michigan has the better defense, but I don't think USC's is that bad. So I'm laying it here.
By the way, let me just interject real quick. I give both these teams 5 points for home field. So 1 away from home, you got to drop that number a little bit. The other one at home, you got to add a little bit to that number.
Something to keep in mind. Again, also, too, polls don't make prices, but unranked USC favorite against Michigan usually is a reasonable angle when you get that with the unranked team favorite at home against the ranked team. That also goes for the Arizona State-Utah game as well. All right. We go to Tucson next. BYU. I don't even know how to describe that game last Friday night against West Virginia, because I just felt like West Virginia's errors played them out of that game, and then it was an even second half when it wasn't competitive anymore. BYU is a 1.5-point favorite on the road in Tucson against Arizona here, Chris.
Yeah, they bet us the dog in this game. I made a number 3 myself. But it's 1.5. I don't have really a feel for this game, but it's another one of those Big 12 matchups with 2 pretty evenly matched teams, and we'll just see if the home field comes to pass to have a big part in this game. But I made the number a little higher.
I did too. I'm going to stay off of this game. The big question is if BYU has played anybody yet, and they will be tested here in this one, but not really interested in just 1.5 with Arizona.
BYU 41-19 last year at home. Still the freshman quarterback this year. Look, full disclosure. I mean, they're one of the big surprises this year. It's the first year, I think, in the history of the school that they had a freshman start at quarterback, and they're 5-0. So they've taken everything from 2.5 down to this 1.5 here. What's going to be the threshold? I don't know. We might just keep betting Arizona in this game and say I'm going to bet the home team. Arizona's been a surprise too. I think when you think about it, they're better than they were a year ago, right? And they've turned some things around. So this is a good game, and I think the fact that this one too, it's a nice time, and for 5 o'clock. Usually we get these games later, but I like the fact that this one's going to be involved. Everybody will be involved with this game.
Of course, absolutely. It's the it's not quite the get right or get worse game, but it is in a premium time slot.
Get going.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Arkansas and Tennessee on this one. Vols, of course, lost in Fayetteville a year ago. 10.5, or make it 11, I should say, here at the South Point. There's a lot of 10.5 in the market, though, Vinny.
Everybody look. They're taking a dog here. So coaching change. I think both teams a couple of weeks off, right, to kind of regroup and heal and whatnot. Not a real shock, even though the game is at Tennessee. But don't forget Arkansas. This was one of their upset wins a year ago. They beat Tennessee at their place. So at some point, and I think we'll start seeing it maybe tonight. There'll be Tennessee money showing in this game.
I was interested in the favorite, but with the coaching change and the bye week and an extra, week to figure all of that out, I got a little scared off of Tennessee here. But we're kind of forgetting about how good they were and all the Joey Aguilar talk. So might be a good prove it point for Tennessee at home here.
Mm-hmm.
I made it number 10, so I kind of agree with the move coming down. We could kind of make, because Petrino's the coach now, right? And he's been on the staff, right? Yeah.
Only in Arkansas could he come back and actually.
By the way,
I
think he let some coordinators go.
He let through four guys.
Half
on
the staff is gone.
Yeah.
I can't remember which coach it was. It was an NBA coach who got fired in midseason, and they replaced him with his assistant. And in the press conference, he says, because I felt like asking the owner, so you think the guy at the end of the bench, he's the one that has all the answers that could have solved all these problems. And I'm kind of thinking that, because I think Petrino, pardon my language, is a bit of a jagoff and would not mind.
I mean, he is.
So. He is. I mean, he's had affairs with his, players' girlfriends and all kinds of stuff.
Not a good guy.
No, he's not. But I got to tell you, the guy is a pretty good coach. So, I mean, I made the number 10. I kind of agree with the move, but I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I'm not a big Tennessee fan. I don't like Heupel that much, but I wouldn't mind seeing them wax this guy a little bit.
Technical bookmaking term.
On another note, let's go to College Station next. Florida, big win last week against Texas. They look like the Gator team that we thought they could be at their best last week, and credit to Billy Napier, who seemingly always finds his way back every way. A&M's undefeated. A&M's defense has founded since the 40-point gashing that Notre Dame gave them, even though A&M won. North of 7 still on this game, Chris. It's 7.5, and that is market wide on this game.
Yeah, I mean, I made the number 9, which is close to 7.5, kind of almost the same principles, really. I would not touch this game, but I think it's going to be a really good game. And I think it seems like everybody likes Billy Napier, and I mean, whether it's players and the staff and the administration, whatever. But I have a lot of respect for Mike Elko and what he's done with A&M. So I think it's going to be a really good game. I'm looking forward to watching this one. I'm
with Chris a little bit higher with the home team, but I am pretty high on Texas A&M already, so I kind of figured my number would be, but I don't want to get there with laying a big favorite like that with what we saw from Florida last week. Maybe they're back, and their defense is really good, so that's the big concern.
I think the bettor's mindset with this game is going to be similar to the UCLA situation, right? Both teams, UCLA and Florida, off big emotional wins at home against superior, at least on paper, opponents. And we'll get to Texas in a little bit, but there's certainly Penn State still better than Texas in my opinion. But this one here, I could see support coming in for Texas A&M here at home. They won pretty convincingly at Gainesville a year ago. So this team's better than they were a year ago. Texas A&M.
Let's go to Baton Rouge next. Up to 9.5 now on LSU against South Carolina. Alex, I know this is a game you've been looking at all week.
Yeah, I do like LSU here in this spot. I said it about another team, but I mean, this team really needed that bye week. They were struggling offensively. Their defense was shockingly the best unit so far this year and got them this far, how many wins they have. But I think that they could figure some things out. And I still worry about South Carolina. Something's just not right about this team. So I made it higher, closer to 2 touchdowns. So I think 9 is probably a good number here.
I made it 13.
Oh,
so I'm with you. We haven't talked all week either, so we're in conjunction we're against each other on a few too. But this is one of those situations where South Carolina played their first game of the year on the road, and it's all been home games ever since then. And you got to watch that because sometimes you could kind of pad your power rating, pad your stats at home. Now you're going to a place.
as difficult as it gets.
I was going to say, is it the toughest place in the country to play? It's got to be in the top couple, I can tell you that. So I think this is a pretty big home field advantage for LSU. I don't know. Would you make it, Alex, 12? Would you say?
14.
You made it 14.
Yeah.
Well, I made it 13. I'm right there with you. So kind of like the favorite here.
And the home field advantage increases at night.
Yes, it does. Right?
And which this game is there, right? Almost 8 o'clock. By the way, given these starts, which mean nothing, by the way, these post times. That's one
Just
of my
add
pet
15
peeves.
minutes.
You can't. It's obscene. Anyway, this game here, South Carolina came into the season living off of last year's, late season success and excitement. They've just not shown it. And LSU is better. LSU's been better defensively, too, which they had to get better defensively. So I think there's going to be more support for LSU in this one, particularly at home.
They broke Clemson, the real Death Valley here to start out the season.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, yeah. Yep. All right, let's go to Champaign next. The Illabuck, one of the more underratedly ridiculous trophies in all of college athletics.
They have a trophy?
They do.
Seriously?
Yep.
A what?
I don't think before 10 seconds ago I've ever heard of it.
It's a turtle.
It's a what?
Jesus.
It's a turtle.
What are you talking about?
It's the Illabuck.
Isn't that Maryland?
I'm not making this up. Help me out here, Ryan. Yeah.
Somebody get a picture of this thing.
Yeah, Alex has one.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
geez,
Lord.
Yeah. These teams haven't played in a while either. But Chris, it's interesting for Illinois where they had the horrible loss at Indiana where they just got annihilated. And then they bounced back, beat USC the next week. They beat Purdue and covered a week ago. They get the number one team in the country in Ohio State, who looked awesome in every part of the number one team in the country last week against Minnesota. 14.5 is interesting. I kind of I'm almost in my head. I'm like, I really should be on the dog here. And then I remember, oh yeah, even though Illinois has a sparkly record and has looked reasonably good, this is a whole different animal against a team that's closer to Indiana than anything else they've seen.
Yeah, I only made the number 12, so at first I started looking, do I want to play the dog here? And then the more I looked, just Ohio State scares me too much. I'll tell you what, I think back of that Washington game, and it's not so much that they dominated the game. How do I put this? Well, they didn't dominate, like a lot of plays during the game, but they dominated in a way to win the game. They controlled that line of scrimmage. They did not let Washington get back into it. And I think that's something, and that's why I have Ohio State my number one team in the country. And I just think they have the kind of team that if they are going to get a lead, they're going to run the ball. They're going to control the ball. They are not going to beat themselves. And they just aren't going to let you cover that number. But boy, I'm tempted to take that 14.5. I got to tell you, like I said, I made it 12, but too much respect for Ohio State just scared me off this one.
I think I can help you with as you're explaining this too. 136, dead last in the country in seconds per play, 32.4. Sounds very NFL-like, doesn't it, with the top teams that will really not give you a shot to score points. And they aren't putting Julian Sain in any bad positions. He's completing 80% of his passes, 13-3 ratio for him. So they're being a little conservative, but each week they're starting to open it up a little bit more. But yeah, I was.
What'd you make the game?
Closer to you.
Yeah.
Actually, even lower, like 11. But I knew I had a bad number.
I don't think it's a bad number. It's just, but you just said that they have a way to make sure you can't cover the back door. You can't get in the back door.
Right. We were on Washington, but I have a gap, a little gap between Ohio State and Oregon. So I was surprised when it came this high. But
this is the high toggler. Laying 14, taking 14.5. You don't see that a whole lot. Talked about LSU's defense. This Ohio State defense is good. That's another reason why I think to both your points about how they don't stop. By the way, these teams haven't played in 8 years.
Yeah,
is that right?
8 years.
Where's that turtle been?
I don't understand.
Ryan, you got it for us.
Where is it? Let me see. What the?
Oh my God. That's one of the worst I've ever seen.
I think it's phenomenal. It's completely ridiculous.
Wait a minute. Somebody's going to take that home? You, Ohio State, want to take this on the plane? What are you? Look at this thing.
You should get punished by the loser has to take that
Oh,
thing
my
home.
Lord. Oh, wow.
Disrespecting the turtle here, guys.
I am doing that. Yes, you're correct.
I forgot to bring up 6.3 average is the points per game allowed by Ohio State.
It's pretty
defense.
good. The defense has been awesome so far. Vinny, quick hitter here, just more informational than anything. Notre Dame is a huge favorite against NC State, 23.5 here.
Well, Notre Dame, you talk about getting back on track, right? Look, the thing about it is when they lost, they were very competitive in their losses, and they could have won. They could have won those games. So at home, playing their schedule, one of the tougher schedules in the country every year, and they don't duck anybody, but rightfully so here. Notre Dame is going to get played on the cards, particularly, and still, folks betting college teasers. God bless them.
I wouldn't bet a teaser, just or ever in a college, but I like the favorite here. I think they run this team off the field. Really do.
Wouldn't shock me.
Yeah.
Covered number dependent against Boise last week. when
It
all
was.
said and
I
done.
kind of like
Yeah.
Boise in that game
Yeah.
a little bit, but
Yeah.
I think this is the kind of team that they can slaughter.
Well, look at the schedule. Again, they're better than 3 touchdown favorites because of look at their schedule, right?
Yeah.
Again,
I mean, this is
superior
still one of the
schedule.
top teams in the country.
Yes.
All right, now for the game of the weekend, where College Game Day is in Eugene, Oregon. And it's strange to say it when the Indiana Hoosiers are involved, but you know what? Kurt Cignetti has turned this ship so quickly that
Mhm.
they deserve to be named with the top teams at this point. Chris, we finally see the 7 again after you guys have been toggling all week long. 7.5, 7. You did it again, Vinny.
There you go.
This is an amazing test for Indiana, more so than anything. Ducks with a bye week last week off of the win at Penn State. Indiana didn't play either. But I think we're going to learn a lot more about Indiana than we could about Oregon here in this game.
Well, I think we know a lot about Oregon.
Correct.
There's not that much to find out. I made this number a little higher too. I made it 9. I don't know. Maybe all these years of seeing Indiana not being very good has kind of influenced me a little bit. But the fact is, they are really good. But I'm wondering, how are they on the road? How are they when they're not running up the score against an Illinois? This is not a place to run up the score. I can tell you that. It is a very, very difficult place to go and play. And I made it 9. I think this is, but I didn't touch this game myself. It's going to be a great game to watch, but I tend to favor the Oregon a little bit here.
How much home field for Oregon?
I only give them 4.
Okay.
So I have other teams I give 5 to. I give 4, mostly because Oregon's damn good on the road too. You have to look at that difference. Not that they're easy to beat at Autzen. They are not, but they ain't so easy to beat in Happy Valley or anywhere else
That's
either.
right. I have 5 for them, so I'm a little bit higher than even you. I've got 11 here for Oregon.
Wow,
And
okay.
Indiana's in my top 10, so I kind of misspoke. It's Ohio State, 1.5 Oregon, and then there's a little bit of a gap for the next team. So those two, I like the over too. I'm shocked that this number is going down, and I understand the caliber of game and you want to bet those unders, but both offenses are so efficient, and I think Indiana's going to be able to put some points on the board, and then we'll see how many Oregon can as well. Neither defense have really been tested.
Indiana's going to get tested with this pace, right? With this constant, coming right at you. So this is a great game. I mean, it's a terrific game to book. Again, going back and forth between 7 and 7.5. So, and this is a game too where I think the public is going to be very much involved with public and professionals as well, figuring out how they want to play it in terms of not only straight bet action but in their exotics.
Not over down to 7. I kind of like the favorite. Not over down to 7, but I'm curious. I doubt we'll see 6.5, right, Chris?
I doubt it.
Probably not.
So this is probably the best you're going to see on the Ducks here throughout the weekend. Mid-afternoon tilt for this one as well.
Got another big afternoon tilt coming up, I'm sure.
Well, we're hitting that right now.
Yeah.
Red River down in Dallas. Texas with 2 losses. Oklahoma undefeated, and it looks like John Mateer has a darn good shot of playing.
Looks like he's going to start.
Wow.
Crazy.
Broken hand.
2.5 weeks after hand surgery on the throwing hand, no less. Vinny, I think this is dangerous of Oklahoma to push him back, especially, look, I know everyone's schedule in the SEC is nuts. And this game I know means so much. And also, if Oklahoma wins this game, Texas is done. Completely stick a fork in them. It's all over. But this seems a little reckless for my liking with Oklahoma. Favorite flipped after the Mateer news came down, and it looks like he's going to start. 1-point favorite Sooners are here.
Yeah, well, they were actually they were taking the Sooners during the early part of the week too, before the announcement came out. Opened at 2.5 here at South Point, and they were taking the number all the way down to 1. Texas won, but now Oklahoma. Mateer, by the way, terrific kid, leader. Says and does the right things. He gets behind us. Now, these two teams have alternated wins the last 4 years, right? So it's kind of gone back and forth. To say this is Texas season, Jeff, yeah, you bring up an important point here. The reality is Texas is not as good offensively as the preseason, pundits thought, or a lot of, even in our rankings, they're not as good offensively. Arch Manning is not ready for the to play on Sundays, and I think he realizes it. And Chrissy, you and I talked about it. I think he's already made it. I think there's been a decision for him to stay. So, and that's not a knock on it. Sometimes you need more seasoning, right? And he's going to certainly get it at Texas in the SEC. But this game here, again, a game that everybody's going to get involved with, and it's always a popular selection amongst the bettors.
I liked Oklahoma even without Mateer, but I thought it should be closer to a pick 'em. With Mateer, I made Oklahoma 3. Now that's with a healthy Mateer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what we're going to see. I saw him the other day. They have a big bandage on his right hand. I'll tell you what, I didn't break my thumb, but I hurt my thumb real bad when I was at Little League. I was the only catcher on the team. They says, well, you got to play catcher. I says, well, I can't throw like the second base. You're the only, you have to do it. They stole like crazy on me all
great coaching
season.
there, Chris.
Well, it was a weird league. We didn't have coaches. It was no parents were allowed. Once you were 18, you couldn't even be an umpire anymore. It was a great experience for kids.
Interesting.
But nonetheless, I know you can't throw with a hurt thumb. Now I don't know. I mean, I would hope that they did something to understand. Well, yeah, he could throw a little bit, or he could throw with this brace on, or do whatever. I don't know. I mean, I'll probably still be on Oklahoma in the Westgate contest because I think I'd taken 2 or something or maybe even 1. Under the assumption that maybe he could play well, but I'd be very careful. This might be an in-game bet if you're betting just to see how good he is.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, I don't think Texas is all that good, regardless.
They're not.
I just don't think they are.
By the way, that game Chrissy was in, the total went to 18.5. In that game.
If
you walked, you might as well have had a double.
You might or maybe even a triple, right?
Maybe even a triple. Yeah. The throw to thirds weren't great either.
Yeah. All right, one last one in college. We got to hit. Go ahead, Alex.
I like the under. I think both defenses are going to dominate this game here. I have a question for you, though, Chris, because yours is the best number here at 45, 44.5 around here, 21.5. Obviously, it's the first half. You don't have to worry about overtime, so you are going to get a lower number. But does that sound about right?
Sounds about right. I'm not a totals guy. I let my crew handle the totals.
I think I'm going to go first half.
Okay.
First half under?
Under 21.5. I got the hook there.
Good.
As long as we avoid overtime, I'm with you on the 45 being okay, though. Like, I think they're both okay. Both these defenses are really good. I know Texas played awful on defense last week, but they're still a high-end defense. All right. Last one, another SEC game. Georgia, Auburn. We know this is a ginormous rivalry, Vincennes. There's some 4 in the market now on this. It's still 3.5 here at the South Point on Georgia with a total of 46.5.
So Georgia, 8 straight wins in this series against Auburn, but Auburn with 2 tough road losses in the last couple of weeks, right? Look, I think there's interest in both sides here. I suspect we'll see there'll be a take, I think, on this number with Auburn coming home off of those two difficult losses here. So Georgia pasted them pretty good between the hedges last year. So in Athens, I think there's probably going to be some support. I think with the hook here for Auburn, Chris.
Yeah, I made it 3.
Yeah, cutting
it pretty close, but I'm kind of with you, Vinny. I think 3.5. You can't tough to lay that 3.5. And there's some 4s in the market too.
Yeah, so
I don't know. I guess once again, gun to my head, I'd probably take the dog.
Hugh Freeze really good off a bye week, covering the spread, and especially at home and smaller spreads like this. So I debated. Yeah. Everybody's really turned on Auburn since they went to Oklahoma, lost that game by a touchdown, but maybe they needed the bye week.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm
2 tough losses, 2 weeks off.
Yeah,
coming home. Yeah, attractive.
There are the updated odds on which conference will win the title here at the South Point. The SEC still your betting favorite at even, plus 140 on the Big Ten, 6-1 on the ACC, 18-1 on Notre Dame plus the G5, and then 20-1 on Texas Tech, realistically speaking, in the Big 12.
Yeah, I don't know who else could possibly sneak in there, but we
you never know. It's college football.
Yeah.
Well, with the ACC, and like you were saying, they need Georgia Tech. Maybe we do get 2 Big 12.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
It just.
But who? Who is it?
Well, whoever upsets Texas Tech and Arlington, right? I mean, that's what it would be. I mean, that would be the path to multiple Big 12 teams.
Maybe Utah gets revenge there.
Maybe.
And you guys
Maybe.
get
Utah's
them
been
in.
very inconsistent, but part of that inconsistency has been they've been very good at times too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Ohio State's still the betting favorite here at the South Point. All right, we'll take a short break. When we get back, NFL, we start in London. Will the Jets get off the schneid?
Oof.
Probably not.
Ouch.
We'll discuss it next here on Sports by the Books. Football Frenzy on a Friday.
Heading to Las Vegas to catch the action at Allegiant Stadium? Skip the traffic and the sky-high room rates of the Strip. Book your stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa. The South Point is located just 7 miles away from the stadium, and it's a quick trip up the freeway, making it an affordable rideshare or taxi ride. And don't worry about getting here when you land in Vegas. We offer a convenient airport shuttle to get your getaway off to a stress-free start. Shuttles are also available on Raider game days for a small fee. So whether you're rooting for your team or seeing your favorite band in concert at Allegiant Stadium, South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa is your ticket to all the excitement.
This is speed. This is winning. This is losing. This is NASCAR in Las Vegas, the South Point 400, a NASCAR playoff race, October 10th through 12th. Get your tickets now.
Ready to bet smarter? Get sports betting tips straight from the South Point Hotel and Casino.
I like the Commanders at 3.
I know if it hits 7, don't blink. Maybe that's what bettors are waiting for.
The wise guys were all over Florida last week, and they're against Florida this week. That's not a common pattern.
I think these teams could score a lot. I would look at the over.
I'm very high on Tampa Bay. I think they can go there and they can win this game.
Subscribe for free to Sports by the Book on YouTube. Your winning edge starts now.
Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Join Jeff Parles and Alex White.
One of my favorite plays here is getting 2 touchdowns with Florida State.
Even though the total's been batted down a little bit, I still think it's okay to go under.
Chris Andrews and Vinny Magliulo.
I don't think this is a great Kansas City team. I think the Chargers win this game.
All right.
If you see a hook here, it's not going to last long.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Are we sure either of these quarterbacks are good?
Hell no, we're not sure.
Bet your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming live on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
Welcome back in. It's Sports by the Book. It's Football Frenzy on a Friday. Jeff Parles, Chris Andrews, Alex White, and Vinny Magliulo.
What you and Alex? Where's Chrissy and how do you?
You want it?
No, hold on.
Or do you have one?
Hold on a
Oh,
second.
no, he's got one.
Whoa. See, I won't be drinking until after the games tomorrow.
Peppermint.
Well, then we'll be pounding them pretty good.
Peppermint. City Lights Shine. There it is.
What do you got, Alex? What's
Brendan gone.
This is strawberry banana.
that? Strawberry banana.
Yeah.
I have
Wow.
caramel apple in my hand. Vinny, what do you got? Peppermint?
Peppermint.
In a
peppermint.
different looking bottle than Alex and I have, too.
Yes. There
These
it
are,
is.
we have the special
Strawberry
edition.
banana, that's my go-to blizzard.
Oof. Let me tell you
Very
something.
nice.
This
Never had that.
Very
you'll be
nice.
blitzed with this blizzard.
If I had a strawberry banana blizzard, I would need a little EpiPen. So
Yeah, well, I usually hit one afterwards.
yeah, there we go. Yeah, not a strawberry and me don't agree. Let's
Oh,
just
really?
go with it's weird one, right?
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's unfortunate because until I got allergic to them, I
Yeah.
love strawberries.
Yeah.
They're great. They might be the best fruit out there. Can't have them anymore. All right, let's. Well, speaking about strawberries, very popular across the pond, as we know. London, second London game of 3. 3 of 4 for the the UK area. I know if Ireland, I know the Irish get very angry if you say they're in the UK, so I won't do that. But here we go, Chris. The Denver Broncos got a win last week in Philadelphia, which I don't want to say got devalued by what happened last night, but it's still impressive. 18 fourth quarter points, get the victory on the road in Philadelphia. Now they go even further east to take on the only winless team remaining and the only team with a 0 in a win or a loss column at this point, and that is Vincenzo and I's New York Jets, who continue to find bottoms of the ocean that we did not know were there. Chris, it is 7. It is 43.5 here in this one with the Broncos laying it as the road team in this game in London.
Yeah, well, obviously toss that out, but it's just hard to bet the Jets. I mean, they find incredible ways. Listen, I know teams lose. I mean, it's the NFL. All kind of crazy stuff happens. But this team looks like they have deep, deep problems that they thought, Coach Glenn was going to fix a lot of these. He came from Detroit, and, they had a great program there that Campbell instituted. They were looking to get that transplanted into the Jets, and it just not only hasn't worked, it hasn't come close to working. I mean, it looks abysmal. Like I said, anything over 7 is a mountain to climb in the NFL, particularly when you're not at home, even though it's not a true road game. But boy, I just tell you, I would have a lot of trouble betting the Jets here. For me, it would be Denver or pass.
Me too, especially because I've been very high on Denver this year, and I like what I saw, especially from Bo Nix, kind of getting back into his rhythm. The defense has been there all year. The Jets, on the other side, I've been backing them the last few weeks, so I'm going to have to stay off of them. Now, they are the least lucky team in the NFL right now. They've had a ton of turnovers. They have not created any turnovers. And fumbles, which is supposed to be like 50-50, they've only recovered 2 of like 12. So it has not gone their way by any means for the Jets. So maybe that could start to turn around. But I'm not going to jump in on this one.
Let me just interject too, and I got the rankings are on the board here, and I'm Ryan's probably showing them on the graph too. Jets number 31 defensively. That's a team that they're going to let you score to put them away. Now, like I said, and I explained this to some people. These are some new metrics I'm looking at. I would not take any of this to the bank, but they can give you some indicators. And this is just defensive rankings. You could see the Broncos are tied for 3rd. The Jets are 31st. That's pretty widespread.
Painful to be a fan of an ETS team, no matter who they
were.
Put
it's pretty
whatever.
bad right now.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
You would have thought that the Jets would have been better with Aaron Glenn coming in. The issue with the Jets this year look very much like the Jets of a year ago. Alex, you mentioned the turnover. They just continue to make mistakes. They not only do they get beat by their opponents, they beat themselves.
Yeah,
and they don't make wise decisions. Now that said, you got a quarterback here that's pretty mobile, and I think that's what the Broncos are going to be concerned about and trying to contain Fields. Both teams have had to, this is a pretty significant trip to get over to Europe and get acclimated to things. So, you would think that this game would have been flying, towards the Broncos, but it is a touchdown, and it is a key number too. So, not a real surprise that it hasn't moved. So, now that said, lots of teasers, probably to both sides. I think the general public will be teasing the Broncos down, and anybody wanting to take a chance on the Jets probably tease them up and grab 2 touchdowns. But
do we know what the weather is like in London tomorrow? I don't.
I got you.
I
I'm
probably
going to look it up real quick for you, Chris. Actually, all things considered, not terrible. 62 degrees with some sun. That's not bad for this time.
Middle of July.
That's good.
For London.
That's not too bad. No rain. That's a good forecast.
And typically the European games are pretty close, right? When you look at the history of them.
First, both were 1-score games so far. Vikings lose a close game and then win a close game last week.
2 teams opposite directions. I think they'll be playing on both sides in this game.
The Jets are the first team since the merger to not force a turnover in the first 5 weeks.
Yeah. 0-5, no turnovers.
Very impressive.
Thank you.
Very impressive stuff. And also, as Alex said, they have not fallen on it seems like, Vinny, They have not fallen on a opposing team's fumble since Richard Nixon was president. Like, we're going that far back at this point.
Geez, you're going Nixon. I threw out Weeb Eubank to Vinny earlier in the week. That was 1969.
Yeah, I'm not that far off, honestly.
Wow,
7 in this one. All right, now let's go to Pittsburgh next. First, Steelers off the bye. Browns played in London last week. This is only the second time this has happened where a team is playing a team that played in London the week before is playing on the road at a team off the bye. It did not go well for the first time it happened as well. The Jaguars got clobbered in that game in 2017.
But the Browns chose this, right? They had
the Browns chose the ability to play after London.
Right. They
did
had
not
the ability
choose,
to be off.
They did. They also did not choose to play a team coming off a bye on their own. So it's been all Steeler action with Dylan Gabriel making a second.
They also signed Watson for $250 million too. So this is not. Let's not mark them as like the way to run a franchise.
Hey, look! I saw a pretty good tweet earlier in the week. Obviously we know the famous line: the first rule about Fight Club is not talk about Fight Club. Someone basically said the first rule about Deshaun Watson is not to talk about Deshaun Watson at this point.
Yeah.
So, and I can't say they're wrong.
Oh my God!
4.5 to 6, and Chris, the question at this point is how high is this going to go? By the way, also Joe Flacco can't bail the Browns out anymore.
That's correct.
Because he's now the starting quarterback for the Bengals.
That's right.
week.
Yeah, I thought Gabriel actually looked pretty good, but I made this number 7. I mean, you have to take that travel into account. And listen, if anybody has read or they certainly should read Billy Walters' book, and he goes through Billy ain't giving you the whole blueprint, but he does talk about travel in there and how that can affect certain teams. And this is just a horrible situation for the Browns, traveling, to a road game with a pretty much new quarterback. Just everything seems to be against them. And my one caveat would be that Mike Tomlin's had a career of blowing games he's supposed to win. But still the numbers indicate to me that the Steelers are the right side here.
But he is really good off a bye as well, right?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Seems
the
like
trends say, yeah. Do we have that graphic again, Ryan? Can we go for defenses? Because at first, I really wanted to be on the Browns with Dylan Gabriel. I thought he looked pretty good, too. And we've been following this defense that has been really good. Curious where they fall on your chart. 15th right now.
Yeah.
But I can't. I mean, it's just a brutal, brutal spot. So it would only be the Steelers or pass.
The Steelers are less efficient defensively than I thought they would be. But like I said, I'm going for some different metrics. I think scheduling has a lot to do with where these rankings lie at this point in time. I think it give you a good indicator. Like I said, I pointed out to the one young man I was texting with today. Giants were number 10 on my offensive rankings, which they certainly didn't play like that, but they certainly did last night. And sometimes this might give you some indicators as to some efficiencies that maybe you're not looking at. But the Steelers pretty far down the list, offensively and defensively, which I was surprised at that for a team with their record. But they're playing the Browns in what I think is a very difficult situation for the Browns.
We're going to need the Browns. Folks are just going to keep betting the Steelers. It's going to go up. That's for everything that you mentioned.
Let's go to Indy next, guys. Colts have been as impressive as anyone, as you see a top 10 offense for Chris. Very easily could be undefeated if they didn't have the ridiculous play with A.D. Mitchell a few weeks ago. Which
is an epidemic, apparently, in the league.
The Cardinals are the opponent for Indy here, and the Cardinals are off. And I say this, and look, Vinny, Chris, you guys have been watching football a lot longer than I have. I don't know if I've ever seen a worse loss than what the Arizona Cardinals managed to pull off last Sunday against the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah.
If DeMarcado holds the ball for legitimately a split second longer, it's 28-3, and the game is completely over. You have one of a touchdown that if it happened against you in a peewee football game, you would have been aggravated at it with the interception, fumble, ball gets kicked into the end zone, recovered for a Tennessee touchdown. Oh, and then you let Cam Ward drive right down the field at the end after inexplicably running the ball into the line 3 straight times. If you had Arizona in Survivor.
Which we did.
Yeah, and so did I. So
I think a lot of guys did.
Yeah,
But by the way, that one goofy play that you're talking about, the interception, I'm not sure that was a completed pass.
It was very close. It was very close, and I'm also not fully convinced DeMercado didn't get over the line, but
Me too.
It was by this.
it
much.
was very, very close. But I'll be honest with you, DeMercado deserved it for what he did.
And I saw the coach got fined $100,000 by the team for actually
Doing a little jab.
I'm not sure I wouldn't have done the same thing. So, I mean, not that he did was right, but I'm not going to be the first to throw the stone.
So Indy 7. By the way, Kyler Murray has been questionable all week. He did he did practice, so it looks like Murray is going to go. Murray is undefeated in his career, by the way, as a 6+ point underdog on the road. So,
Really?
Yeah. That's something to at least throw out there. I said the streaks are meant to be broken, Chris.
I still think he stinks.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
You been covering the spread?
Yeah, ATS.
Okay.
ATS. Yeah. Jacoby Brissett, by the way, is the backup, who I think is one of the more solid backups in this league. I like the Colts regardless. I don't care whether he plays or not. My numbers came to 8, so not a huge disparity. But this number opened 6. And another, I tried to move this one quickly, and I did. Just the Colts. I mean, at some point you have to say, yeah, they're lucky, and yeah, they've, Danny Dimes is playing like he never has before. But, Shane Steichen, I always really liked him as a coach, and maybe that's what's really having a huge effect on Jones and the rest of the team. You got Warren at tight end, the kid from Penn State. Defense is playing well. Also something I was thinking about. I'm going to show off my Robert Morris education here. The fulcrum is something.
Sure.
It pivots off that. Sometimes the quarterback could be that fulcrum and make the play on the other on the defense and everything around them better. Just by being there and being a positive influence. They've had trouble since they lost Andrew Luck years ago. But now they got that guy, and I think I think he can't tilt the whole team in the proper direction. And it looks like he's doing it, along with Shane Steichen. I want to give Steichen a lot of credit too, because I think they made the right choice here. And right now everything's kind of coming up roses for them.
It would only be Colts for me as well. I made it higher. I don't know if I'm going to lay that many points here. Kind of got burned on a teaser yesterday, but maybe I will tease this with the Lions. But power score wise, I think the Colts are number 2 right now for me throughout
Oh wow,
the
I'll
year.
have to look.
Yeah. So I mean, I think they are pretty real, and I lean to the under because Arizona's defense is better than their offense, and I think that they can slow the Colts down enough to stay under this 47.
Just to your point, yeah, they're. Oh shoot, I got them third behind Detroit, and 5 1/100ths of a point under Buffalo. So, arguably, depends on where you're rounding those numbers.
Right.
That play last week in the Cardinal game, that's the definition of just when you think you've seen it all. I mean, Chrissy and I have watched a lot of football over the years. 2 teams with a completely different vibe, too. And it starts with the coach. Think about this. The Cardinals last week with their this is what sums up that game. Forget about for a minute everything that happened that got them to this point. They're on their final drive, right? They're trying to win the game. Down to their 3rd string running back. Out of, I think it was 4 out of the last 5 or 5 out of the last 6 plays were running plays. Not targeted to one of the better tight ends in the league, or to Harrison. What is?
It's terrible.
I mean, there's a complete disconnect, in my opinion, between the coach and quarterback, and I think it's filtering through the team. So, that said, will this go through 7? More likely to go through 7 and come back down. It's been all Colts to this point, and no matter what happens, even if they take it, we're gonna need the Cardinals in this game.
It's Indy feels like perfect teaser position down to 1. But, boy, I'm a little bit skittish right now because of what's happened to these big favorites the last 2 weeks and last night.
Just go back to last.
Oh, I know. The previous previous 20
December,
weeks.
January.
I know. But, Chris,
you want to make yourself feel better.
I know. That worm does turn, though, in this league. So, after basically 21 straight regular season week or 22 straight regular season weeks of favorites just dominating completely, we finally saw some carnage a week ago. All right, let's go to Baltimore next. This is another big favorite, and it's the road team. The Rams favored by 7.5 against the Ravens. It just feels weird to say it, but Lamar Jackson's officially been ruled out again.
Yeah, I just saw it come.
Yeah, just probably about 5 minutes ago, so we actually timed this pretty well. Kyle Hamilton is going to play, though, so that is good for that Raven defense that just got annihilated last week by Houston. 44.5 the total. Rams 7.5-point favorites in this game, Chris.
So I made my number, and at first I made my number come to 5, and I'm looking, and because Cooper Rush, he's not as bad as he was last week. I mean, he was horrible, but he's been around a while. He's a competent quarterback. Then I made those analyses that I posted here, and I don't know, Ryan, if you could post them both. I think the Ravens are number 31 in one metric and 32 in the other.
There's 31 on offense.
31 on offense, and I think they're number 32 on defense.
Pretty sure they are.
And I'm looking, there you go. And I'm looking, I'm thinking, oh my God, maybe they are the worst. Because I think I said it to Vinny on Monday. I think I said something. If they're a 7.5-point dog at home, that's like the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, I'm looking over there.
Oh my God.
Maybe they are the worst team in the NFL. I don't know. I mean, I still think 7.5. I think you got to play dog or pass. But like I said, I know all those things are just horrible for them. They've had a very difficult schedule. They lost some big games to big teams. But I just don't think Cooper Rush is nearly as bad as what he showed last week. The guy's been around for a couple of years. All you need him to do is play semi-competent, and they could cover this 7.5. I don't know if it's going to be on my list. As a matter of fact, it's definitely not. But I do think you got to play dog or pass it.
Yeah, it feels like a stay off with what we saw from Baltimore last week. But I made the number higher total-wise, and last week I did too. And Houston almost covered or got there themselves. So I'm curious if we're getting these low totals because no Lamar Jackson and their defense playing so bad, if we could get another over here. But I'll probably stay off this game altogether.
Just got to protect the ball. I mean, if you're the Ravens, right? If you're gonna back the Ravens at the betting counter, you got to hope that they can value the ball and protect the ball. Rams, well, we know the Rams are going to score points. Credit the Niners a week ago, but that was a game that the Rams. That was another example of a team doing everything they could to blow a game, and as it turns out, they did. So probably correct some things, but very difficult to lay this kind of number, right, in the NFL on the road.
It's a lot of points, even with how bad Baltimore looked last week. That is a lot of points.
By the way, I think they're off next week, right? To hopefully get Lamar Jackson back when they do come off their bye.
But if Baltimore loses this game, I mean, the Ravens would then be 1-5. Their defense is just battered.
Yeah, they had 7 starters missing last week.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, it just a season from hell. Just more so than anything for the Baltimore Ravens.
You're breaking my heart.
I'm sure it's very upsetting.
I'm not really beat up about it either. But hey, look, Pittsburgh Steelers have the AFC North that we thought was going to be one of the better divisions in football so far this year. Pittsburgh Steelers are leading the division at 3-2 with a negative point differential at -2 through 4 games. That is by far the best point differential in the division. Where the rest of it, the Bengals are a hearty -71, impressive. Cleveland's -50, impressive. And Baltimore's -34.
Wow.
So, and also Baltimore's allowed 177 points in 5
By the way, those last 3 teams you named, all Joe Flacco teams.
Yeah, you know it. Hey, Joe Flacco, we'll get to him later. We can't get rid of Joe Flacco. We'll get him a little bit later in the program. All right.
Of course, he played ball. Is he from Pittsburgh? I think.
Well,
I know he played football at Delaware, but I think he might be from Pittsburgh.
Wow.
Not sure.
That's funny.
Oh, he played a year at Pitt.
Yeah, he did play.
He was a backup to Tyler Palco. Let's go back in the time machine on that. Pretty good college quarterback, not a good NFL quarterback.
I think he broke Danny Marino's records.
Yeah, he did play in the NFL for a little bit. Didn't go as well as it did at Pitt. But yeah, Flacco transferred to Delaware because he couldn't get ahead of Palco at Pitt. Isn't that fun? All right, let's go to Jacksonville next. Low-key, Alex and I talked about this morning. This is a low-key excellent game between the Seahawks and the Jaguars. Seahawks get their heart ripped out last week, lose 38-35. The only possession and someone didn't score in the second half was Darnold's interception that set up the game-winning field goal for Tampa. Jaguars, of course, win on the on what I called the baby draft play from Trevor Lawrence, where just gets stepped on, falls down like a baby draft, finds his way back to his feet and scores a touchdown. Chris, pick in this game, total 47.5. I'm going to be honest with you. If a game ever screamed pick 'em, this is the one that screams pick 'em to me.
Yeah, I've been on Jacksonville, and like I said, some of the metrics I've been using kind of pointed towards Jacksonville being better than what they were. And I had them last week against Kansas City. Lucky to win, but I mean that's half the games in the NFL. If you pick a winner, you're lucky to win. Boy, I think it's a really, really good game because I like Seattle too. Now my numbers do come to Jacksonville too, but I'm not crazy about that number. I think pick 'em would be a better number. I would not touch this game. I think it's going to be a really good game. And like you said, sneaky good game all the way around. Two teams that have really become much better than I thought they were this year.
I lean to the Seahawks here, but like you, it's only a 1.5, so it's not really worth it. Jump it in this one. I do have some trends, though, with Sam Darnold. 15-8-1 ATS in his last 2 seasons, of course, with the 2 different teams.
Mm-hmm.
And then McDonald on the road since he's become a head coach a year and a half ago. 9-1 straight up, 6-3-1 ATS. So where we're used to Seattle being very good at home, they've been very good on the road since he has been the head coach.
Let me interject there. Yeah, I've lowered their home field advantage. Again, not that they're easy to beat at home, but just that they've been so good on the road. And there's a guy, McDonald. Nobody's mentioned him much among the coaching ranks, but this guy's done one hell of a job with a team that I don't think anybody thought much of going into. They thought much of their defense, but certainly not of their offense.
Well, and look at where Baltimore is right now, especially defensively.
Right, yeah.
So.
Well, they have a big Baltimore hasn't been coordinated well in a year and a half since McDonald left.
Yeah.
So, Seahawks do have a rash of injuries though in the secondary though, Vinny. That kind of hurt them last week.
It did, but the Jags lose. Their tight end is out for Strange is very
Strange is out. Yep.
Very important for Trevor Lawrence there. Look, they've backed the Seahawks in this game. Because it did go after Monday, we made the adjustment after the Jags win against the Chiefs. So, and there was value there, perceived value by the bettors.
That's good, Vinny. You waited till after the game, unlike Jeff Parles, who changed his top 10 before the results of the Monday game.
Yeah, that was a bad faux pas. I'm never doing that again.
Whereas, you can't. You have to wait.
Look. What's the old phrase when you assume?
There you go.
I just made it out of me. I didn't make it out of anyone else. Just out of myself on that one.
Wow, Alex pointed that out on the air too. How about that? Yeah. Wow.
No,
don't you ever listen to the show?
No, I deserved it. I deserved it, and I admitted to it. And
if we got a hell of a show, you should listen.
Every once in a while, I do. Yeah. Every once in a while. All right, let's go to Charlotte next. Cowboys. Dak Prescott's playing some great football this year. He really is. Just if the Cowboys were a little bit better, I think Dak Prescott for MVP would actually have a little bit of legs. The Cowboys and it's not his fault. That team's just not good enough for him to realistically be in that race. They take on the Panthers.
They're 2-1-1, aren't they? Right? 2-1. Yeah. I mean, it's not like
it's better than we thought they were going to be. Even though that tie could very easily screw up the win total when it's all said and done. Chris, Carolina's been much better at home than they've been away from home. This is 3. I think there's a little bit of a sneaky spot here for Dallas where you pound the Jets. Even though they didn't win the game against Green Bay, it was a heck of an effort to get a tie out of that. This feels a little bit flatty here against Carolina, who is coming off a 17-point comeback against Miami.
Yeah, again, if you look at some of those metrics, Carolina figures a little higher than what I would assume. Now, when I first made my numbers, I made Dallas 4. But when the game opened 3, I started looking. I says, you know what? I think I like the 3 better. I think it's where's Carolina on our list? Number 12 on the offensive ranks, which I think is surprising, almost as much as the Giants. Can you show the defensive ranks?
Those are the defensive ranks right here. Yep.
There's the defensive ranks.
22 for Carolina.
22, yeah, which about right. Yeah. But I don't know. I probably got in my head. I think I might play Carolina here. But like I said, my numbers come to 4. But I like the 3 better, and I think 3 is a good betting number here, and I hope we don't move it too much.
That's funny. Mine's 2, so it is a lean to the the Panthers here at home. And you're right, Jeff, 2-0 at home, 0-3 on the road this year for the Panthers. While Dallas's offense has been so good, I mean, their defense, even on your metrics, they've been awful. And one of the worst in the league's giving up points. So might have some success here for the Panthers. So
by the
I'll
way,
lean
I
to
got
the
Carolina with one of the few, might be the only 3-point advantage at home.
And that's more so just that they're so bad on the road,
Well,
right?
that's
More,
the thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's always been my thing. What's the difference between home and road? Not how hard are they to beat at home, but
Right.
what's the difference? They're just terrible on the road. They're
Okay.
okay at home.
Yeah.
Pros will be on the Panthers or watch for the in game. Public's going to be on the Cowboys. That's how this game's going to get played.
I'm a little bit frightened about how much I like Carolina in this game. It's not a good place to be. Even though I liked Carolina last week against Miami, even though it took a wayward way to get there, we did get there and against not a good team in the Dolphins in that one. All right, let's go to Miami next. Finns will host the Chargers. The Chargers have fallen on hard times after that 3-0 start. They get beat by the Giants, and then they flip around. And there's a good reminder that Jaden Daniels is still really damn good at this quarterback thing on the Washington side. We'll get to them as the final game of the week a little bit later. For Miami, Chris, we didn't get to talk about this on Monday, but Mike McDaniel, and I understand it was 4th and 16, but Mike McDaniel down by 3 with one of the worst defenses in the National Football League. Punts on 4th and 16 with 1:05 to go. I don't really care that he has all of his timeouts. It's like, you're not getting the ball back. And what happened? They didn't get the ball back. Yeah. Miami, I can't believe how poorly coached that Miami has become. Their only win is against a team that's worse coached than them.
Don't say it.
So Chargers 4 now. So that has been a little bit Charger money here, Chris.
Yeah, we talked about it on this show when they lost their left tackle before the season. Then they lost their top, and I'm not terrible with names. And they lost.
Slater out for the year in preseason, and now Alt is out now.
For the year?
No, he'll come back a little bit later.
Okay. Yeah, I thought, between Harbaugh and Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator, they'd figure some things out. Well, they haven't yet. And you could see that's really, and, we talked about Herbert, and he is just that one little notch below the top quarterbacks in the league. But he's not going to be that one notch below without an offensive line. And I think that's really changed a lot with this team. Now, they're playing Miami, for God's sake. I made the number 5. When a 4 came out, that was another case. I think I liked the 4 better than my own number. I just thought that, I'd have an awful lot of trouble even considering laying 5 with this Charger team right now. 4, I think, is a much better two-way number. So, I really have no opinion in this game, but the Chargers, if they don't get that offensive line right, they're going to have a rough year.
You're right. I could be interested in laying the 4 here with the Chargers. This feels like a pretty good get-right spot for them. The one thing I don't like is how pass-heavy they are, and that's because they've had the O-line injuries this year. I wish I could get back to running the football, but now Hampton out too. So
yep, he's on IR.
They're really struggling with that portion and having a balanced offense, which helps make Herbert even better. But I really don't trust this Dolphins team at all. So I made it 5-2. I would be on the favorite or pass.
I think Tua is banged up as well. He had, I think he sat out a couple of practices this week with a bad hip. He's taken some hits. Obviously, that's a huge concern for the Dolphins. No Tyreek Hill again. All right, he's done for the year. So there'll be, I think, more support. I think early support came in on the Dolphins because of the number and being home. But I think as we get further into the weekend and up until kickoff, there'll be more support for the Chargers here. And I think part of that's got to do with something that everybody hit on already. And I think that's who's got the coaching advantage here, right? When you think about it, it's got to be the Chargers.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Yeah.
I don't even think that's one there. I don't know if I was fully. Yeah, there we go. I was on fully, but yeah, it's quite the difference
Good
to say the very
point,
least. Yeah. All right, let's keep it in Florida. Another like under the radar game here that is super high end again. The Niners, who talk about high-end coaching. To win that game with basically no skill position players that you expected to be on the roster at the beginning of the year other than McCaffrey, plus Mac Jones, who during the game took a hit that I thought just ripped his knee apart and ended up coming back in the game. It looks like Brock Purdy's not going to play again. It looks like it's going to be Jones again on the road here against the Buccaneers, who, look, Alex and I both like Tampa. We talked about it on Power Ratings Day on Wednesday. But, Chris, you've been a little bit of a luck box streak here for Tampa. All 4 of their wins have come on their final possession, and the last 2 have come on the final play of the game. So Tampa's 3. Mayfield's been awesome. Looks like Chris Godwin's not going to play after coming back. Again, Evans is obviously out. I am a little surprised this number. I know the Niners are so battered, but a little surprised we haven't seen a little bit of a budge a little bit during the week.
I love the dog here.
Yeah.
I think 3 is a take. 3.5 is in the market. You could find plenty of 3.5s out there. But, if you look at some of those internal metrics for Tampa Bay, they do keep winning miraculously. And all the credit in the world to Baker Mayfield. I guess he's like, third in the MVP voting right now. And
the third, top 5 odds, yeah.
Yeah, and he deserves it. He's done just a remarkable job. I've always kind of rooted for this kid just because a lot of people were against him for so long. But I just think this is a very bad spot for them. I think that the numbers gotten a little bit ahead of them of how good they actually are. Listen, I give them a lot of credit for what they have done. But I give more credit to the 49ers, and how they've done. This is just a tough outfit. And you're getting 3 points. Mac Jones looks like he's finally become the player that they thought he was going to be when they drafted him. What was he, like 5th overall or what? Something like that.
I don't know if he went that high.
Whatever.
But he was still a first-round pick.
But he's playing up to what his potential was at that point in time. And it shows you what coaching can do for you. And I think this is a solid team with a lot of guts. And I think they hang in there to the end. I definitely I'm going to take the 3 here.
15th overall, by the way. So just add a 1 in front of it.
I'm interested in your metrics here with the Niners 1 offensively, Tampa Bay 8th. And then both of them lower defensively than I expected, especially the Niners 17th and Tampa Bay tied for 22nd. So, just using that alone, you'd have the Niners higher and you're getting 3 on the road. I don't have a play. I made it 3.
Yeah.
If anything, it would be an overplay, but that's kind of skewed with Tampa Bay's.
Yeah, I have some different things. Like I said, I'm trying to look at angles that people aren't using. But I was surprised the Niners were that high. I really was. But nonetheless, I went back and double-checked my numbers. And that's where they are. And part of it is, listen, I know Brock Purdy, a lot of people have some different opinions on him. He's a very efficient quarterback. Now you bring in Mac Jones, who's really been just as efficient.
Yeah.
So, that's a lot of, and I think it says offensive efficiency is one of the things that it's not on the graphic, but that's what I call it, offensive efficiency. And right now they're very efficient offensively. And part of what I'm doing with that is these are teams that I don't think beat themselves. And I don't think the Niners beat themselves. At least they haven't so far this year. And they've had a lot of opportunities to do so with all those injuries.
Both teams, gamers at quarterback, right? How good would the Buccaneers be if their entire receiving core was healthy?
Sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
Vinny, is Bucky Irving coming back or not yet?
I'll give you the status on Bucky in a second.
But, again, credit the Niners for what they've done with their depth. Coaching goes full marks go to the staff and the players coming in, including Mac Jones. But Chris, Baker Mayfield just an absolute warrior, and he's never out of a game. They almost came back against Philly a couple of weeks ago for with their only loss. So. Good game. Good game here where there'll be support for both sides in this game.
No Bucky this week. So no Bucky, no Evans, and likely no Godwin. Godwin's officially out now? Yeah, so there you go. So none of the 3 of them this weekend.
Doesn't matter.
Well, Ibuka, I've been saying this since it was obvious when the draft. Ibuka fell into the 20s. We all watched him at Ohio State.
What a player.
He's an amazing player, and he's right now the favorite at Offensive Rookie of the Year, even with a really darn good offensive rookie field this year.
Might change after last night's game.
Let's see. Actually, we got.
Oh, these are up to date?
We got them up to date. Yeah, we got them up to date.
Still
There's
a favorite?
Yeah, Buka is still your favorite. So there you go.
Well, Dart and they might be splitting the votes.
If you could get 18-1 on Sbtb, still, I would bet that right now because that should not be available anymore.
Yeah.
FanDuel's asleep at the wheel if that happens to be the case on that. But Dart at +3, yeah. The Giants keep winning, Chris. You know that narrative train is going to get very loud very quickly in that one. All right. We got 6 more to go here in the NFL. Let's just go down the road from us. Raiders, Titans, really a terrible football game in all honesty. Sorry, guys. Raiders are 4. Hey, Brian Callahan not only covered a game, he won outright last week.
Yeah.
Took a little divine intervention to get there on both accounts. But, Chris, Alex and I, you and I talked about this earlier this week, Alex. This was such a disappointment, what's happened here in Vegas, where you get the adult in the room, not only at the head coaching position, but the play caller and the quarterback. It just looks, all right, you got all these seasoned guys. You expect it to turn around. And this has been a train wreck after week 1. They have played horribly in the last 4 games, and they're 1-4, with tied for the second worst record in the NFL with a collection of teams.
I can't believe I'm putting my hard-earned money on Tennessee.
Oh, boy.
I know. But I like them in this game. I don't like them. I like the 4 points that I'm getting with them. And there's even some higher numbers out there. There's a couple 4.5s. Geez, they're starting to disappear. But there's even a 5 this morning. But anything 4 and above, I think you got to play the dog.
I would be on the other side. I feel like this should be a get-right spot for the Raiders. I know there's still injuries on the O-line, which is a big deal, especially when their best offensive lineman is on the IR. But, I mean, they've got more talent on both sides of the ball. They're at home, laying under touchdown. And, I mean, they've played really good teams. They really should be 2-3 because they should have beat the Bears 2 weeks ago at home. And then they ran into a buzzsaw with the Colts and the Commanders. So I don't know. We'll see. But I made it a little bit higher.
Bowers' status. I mean,
he is officially out.
So again,
that's huge.
That is huge.
Which you combine the O-line situation. They've taken the Titans all week, and I don't see that stop. Some locals, there may be some support for the Raiders here, but you know what? We're probably going to need the Raiders. This will be one of the favorites we're going to need this week, given how they're playing. And the other thing is, bad statement last week. They're down by 30, late in the game. Let's kick a field goal.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, what was that?
What are you doing? What is that? What kind of statement is that? Look at we're
going to make the score look better. You lost by 34. It's not going to look better if it's 37 or 34. It's terrible regardless.
That's a bad look.
To the point about Bowers, though, they have 3 really good players. Bowers being one of them.
Yeah.
Crosby.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the best defensive players in the league. And then Genti, all of a sudden, is a pretty darn good running back.
Yeah.
So they got 3 really good players. I mean, I'd hate to see them wasting their careers. I'm not a Raider fan by any stretch of the imagination. I still got that Steelers stuff in my DNA from the 70s. But, I mean, just for the sake of the town and for the NFL, I want to see the Raiders at least be competent. I wouldn't mind seeing them be 9-8.
Well, we thought they were going to be 9-8 this year, or something in that pocket.
But, by the way, this will be one of the games where the Raiders should have more fans than the opposition. There's too many games where the opposing teams have had far more support.
Oh, Chicago West 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't see Tennessee traveling that well.
Especially for a bad team.
Not for this team.
Not for this team, no. All right, let's go to New Orleans next. You know what? I got to give the Saints their due. It took 5 turnovers from the Giants to get it done last week, but they're on the board. And you know what? In their 3 home games, they've been in every game. Yeah, I know they didn't cover the closing numbers in week 1 and week 2, but
they battle.
They had their shots. Yeah, they had their shots. Yeah. And you know what? Even in Buffalo, they had an overturned touchdown that would have given them the lead if it didn't get overturned in week 4. So other than that epic fiasco in Seattle, the Saints have just been a regular, normal, bad team so far this year. And now you get the Patriots who are coming off their biggest win since Brady and Belichick were basically there. I think it's a dangerous spot for New England, Chris, at 3.5 with the Patriots on the road. in a difficult place to play against a team that, you know what? They're not good, but they still buy the program, which is important with the bad teams early.
You know, again, you got Kellen Moore, who's been a good offensive coordinator. You know, we didn't know how he'd be as a head coach. I think that goes with all these guys that get their first promotion to head coach. I think so far so good, I'd say, with Kellen Moore. And their rankings, their offensive rankings were much higher than I thought they would be. What do I got them, like number 4, I think?
5.
5? Yeah. I mean, they're not bad offensively. All that being said, I still like New England. I think this team is finally, you know, I love Vrabel as a coach. I think they're coming up to what Vrabel's really wanted to do with this team. They got the right quarterback. You know, I'll tell you what, if you could get a big price on them to win that division, it might be worth looking at. Because Buffalo, yeah, they have what we thought was going to be a real easy schedule. I still think it's a pretty darn easy schedule. But, you know, there's a couple traps along the way. You know, again, I wouldn't want to take them at even money. But I think if you can find a big price on New England, I think they have a chance to win that division. I think this team is all of a sudden really good. And a lot of it goes to May and Vrabel. I mean, head coach, quarterback. But I actually like New England a little bit in this spot.
Well, and Josh, I'm going to mess up his name because I always get it mixed up. The OC.
What, Josh McDaniels?
Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
Yes, not McDonald or any other. McDaniels.
He's been a great OC.
He's working out really well with Drake May, you can tell. And then Diggs is becoming a true wide receiver 1 here. So everything really does feel like it's coming together for the Patriots. I like that side. I think that number's too short here.
Vinny, any thoughts here?
I think this is going to be a game where the public's going to be on the Patriots and the professionals will probably lean Saints here just because of the number. Yeah.
All right, now we reached the Joe Flacco portion of the program.
Obligatory.
We didn't have him last week, but we have him again. I can't believe that the Browns actually got an actual draft pick for Flacco with what we've seen so far this year from him. Just, I would have just sent that in immediately. Wouldn't have even negotiated. Like you're giving me a draft pick for what we've seen from Flacco through the first 4 weeks. Yeah, sure, take him.
Where do they go to the 7th round?
I'm surprised it was either 6 or 7, but it was really low. Here you go.
Cincinnati probably would have said, "Yeah, I'll take an 8th rounder for him."
Yeah. We'll go back to the 1980s when we had what? It was 14 rounds back in the day, right? Or something.
I remember going way, way, way back. It was like 24 rounds, which I think Bart Starr was like a 24th round pick or something.
And that was a pretty good. That was pretty good value.
Yeah. So was Andy Russell, by the way, from the Steeler Super Bowl years.
So, Chris, Flacco has been with the team for 2 days. He was named the starter less than 24 hours later, which is a testament to how poorly it's gone for poor Jake Browning.
No, he knows he played horribly too. He does.
Yeah,
I saw that interview.
Yeah, it was really bad. Which is a shame because Browning played really darn well 2 years ago.
Yeah, I thought he'd be a lot better. I really did.
2 years is a long time.
Yeah, it is. Sure is, Alex White.
Guys.
And look, Cincinnati. Boy, that offensive line's terrible.
Yeah.
And now you have Flacco behind it, who's a statue. And now you're playing Green Bay, who's coming off a bye week, whose defense got embarrassed the last time out and gave up 40. Mm-hmm. And Green Bay's been, Chris, we mentioned Carolina earlier as being significantly better at home than they are on the road. Green Bay's home road splits are insane so far this year, where they beat 2 high-caliber NFC teams at home and lost to Cleveland and tied Dallas on the road.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's through 14. I know it's the worst of the number, but I really don't see the case for Cincinnati unless if Flacco all of a sudden is spinning it like it's 2013 again.
That ain't going to happen.
Oh, I know it won't.
Yeah. I made it number 13. I mean, it's just so hard for me to go above that.
Diminishing returns, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're right. They're coming off a bye. They're coming off a couple bad losses. But, I mean, you know, if you're LaFleur, don't you just say, you know, can we get out of here with a 10-point victory and just, you know, get ready for the rest of the season? But I would not play. This is a pass for me, 100%.
I understand the defenses between the Browns and the Bengals, but Joe Flacco already beat the Packers, so he can't say well, let's get out of here. They won 13-10 and felt like they were trying to just get out of that one.
They did try their best to get out of there.
Yeah.
I did forget about that.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Jordan Love with the big turnover late in that game.
Flacco's got a chance to do some real fun history here this week of beating the same team that was in the opposing conference for twice in the same season, which has only happened one other time in NFL history.
It did happen?
Flacco would be if he plays Baltimore twice in Cincinnati, which Bengals still have their 2 Raven games left, he'll become the second person since the merger and third since 1960 to play against the same opponent 3 times in one season. He would join Kerry Collins and Senator Jack Kemp as well.
Buffalo.
Jack Kemp.
Yes.
What was his son's name?
Yeah, we're going back in the
Jack Kemp.
Jack Kemp with the Bills, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's technically AFL when Kemp did it, but we're going way back.
What college did he go to?
Oh, geez. I should know this. No, I shouldn't.
Occidental.
I should not have known that.
Occidental. I'm not even sure there's still a college.
Should have not known that. I just wonder for Green Bay here, where Chris and Vinny and Alex, whoever wants to chime in here, like, tell me if I'm wrong here. Like, over the last few years, home field has been devalued a ton in the National Football League. And maybe Green Bay, maybe because it's early in the season, I'm noticing it a little bit more. But there feels like there are more significant home road splits in this league with select teams. Like the difference with Green Bay so far, home and road. The difference with Carolina, home road. The difference with Dallas is, except for the Jets, the difference with Dallas's offense in their road games as opposed to the 2 games at home where they put up 40 plus.
Well, Jeff Fogel did a thing. And by the way, anybody doesn't get Jeff Fogel's newsletter, you're doing yourself a disservice. He talked about this year. It has been significantly better. You know, that it's almost like the median is almost up to 3. Now we're very early in the season. I'm not ready to go there yet. And I don't think Jeff is yet either. But I'm looking up and down my numbers where for a lot of time, I have a lot of zeros in there for home field advantage. But now I got, I mentioned Carolina as a 3, and I got, Buffalo's actually a 2.5. They blow out a lot of teams at home. I see a lot of 2s on there, so I'm not ready to go to 3 as the standard. But, Jeff talks about it's kind of getting close to that.
I think that here's the thing about this game with Flacco. First of all, he's got better receivers. All right, with the Bengals, and if there's turnovers, crazy things happen in games. We saw it last week with the Cardinals, although they didn't help themselves either. Particularly with the fumble at the goal line. But look, no excuse for the Packers here. But if they're truly to be, you look at that first game where they dominated the Lions, and the Lions looked pretty disinterested. What the Lions have done since, what the Packers have done since, if the Packers are going to get on track, this is the game they have to take advantage of.
It's probably survivor plays for people that didn't get
This will be the number
week.
1 survivor play.
14.5 on this one.
If I still had a survivor, I wouldn't mind Pittsburgh either. Don't
mind that either. Pittsburgh could be popular too this week.
Yes, they will.
To say the very least. All right, we got 3 primetime games to go, guys. And we begin with what is as good of a game as there has been in the NFL regular season. And it's weird to say that with a team that's 2-3, but we still have to respect Kansas City as they are. The Lions, boy, Chris, what a flip from week 1. Where week 1 it was like, oh boy, is this going to be? Were we right that losing both Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson was really going to hurt this team? And is Jared Goff due for regression and all that noise? Since then, they've just beaten the crap out of everybody they've seen the next 4 weeks. And now we're going to go on the road to the Kansas City Chiefs. And quite frankly, Chris, I'm a little surprised that Detroit's not either pick or even a road favorite in this game against the Chiefs, who, look, that defense looks slow. That defense, the only game that defense looked normal was against Baltimore, and that sure looks like that was more of a Baltimore thing than it did a Kansas City thing.
My numbers come to Detroit 1.
Okay.
Now, if you go back, you could probably find this somewhere. But after that first game, you could see Dan Campbell addressing the media. And he was like very cool, calm, and collected. Like, hey, we understand we got some problems. At least now we know where we are. Will address them, but it wasn't Brian Kelly, doing whatever he does.
The pointing at the media.
Yeah, no, nothing like that. He's he, like I said, he handled this, and sometimes he's a very macho alpha male type guy. You never know how those guys are going to react to something like that. He handled it as well as you possibly could. And you could see the proof is in the pudding. I mean, what's happened to that team since then? Whatever problems they had, and they had problems game one. I mean, I'm with you, Jeff. I thought, boy, losing these two top-notch coordinators, is this team going to be anywhere near where they were? I thought maybe not. But they, a month later, I got them at the top of my rankings. I think this is a really good team. I've been against Kansas City all along, from day one. I'm going to be against them here too. But I got to tell you, what scares me is the wise guys are on Kansas City. And I don't know if they're just being influenced by those past records or not. I don't know. But they are most definitely on Kansas City. They're not going to get me, though. I'm on Detroit or pass, and I'm going to put Detroit down on my list.
I'm on the Lions, too. I made it, too. Definitely my number one. I was way off on the Ravens, is how it looks. But I did have the Lions making it to the Super Bowl from the NFC, so hopefully I can keep it going here. Looking at seconds per play, too, Detroit right now second behind Houston, 31.7. We know they like to run the ball a lot as well with their two-headed monsters, so I'm looking at this under, too, at 53, and I know I'm going to wait, see if the public bets it up, but I think that both sides are going to try and keep the other offense off the field, and Mahomes, since 2022, home starts of a total of 50-plus, 8 home starts, with the total 50-plus, 7-1 to the under. So I'm going to see the best number I can get. I think there were 54, so this might be it at 53. But I like the Lions. I like the under.
A couple of years ago, wasn't this the first game of the season, a Thursday night game?
That was the Kadarius Toney play.
Right? Remember?
That was the
It's like,
Kadarius Toney game.
yeah.
55.
Jeez.
The total was huge. Yeah, Alex, you'll get the better of the total because we opened this total 50, so it's been bet up. I mean, everybody, bettors oftentimes too will bet. These are two pretty popular fantasy. There's a lot of fantasy players on these teams, and I think that drives some of the public opinion on it. So if you're looking to bet the under, you're going to get a better number. I don't know how much higher it will go because it's up 3 points off the opener. But the other thing that's really going to impact this number is the carryover going to it. What happens? Last night was a better start for the books, knocking out the exotics with Philly going down. But this number will be impacted by what happens on Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon.
I think I'm going to be on the dog, but what you tell me that all the sharps are on Kansas City, that scares me. That does scare me.
Listen, they lose plenty.
Oh, I know.
They don't win every game.
I know.
Bet with confidence.
We'll see how confident I am at about, I don't know. What is that, 9 a.m. About 12:20 tomorrow? If Mizzou gets in the outright door, then
Well, it'll be some remote. We'll take that bottle with you.
Jeez. Not a lot of this bottle could do a lot of damage to me. I can tell you that with how good it is and how I know I do with moonshine. Let's just go with that. City Light Shine, of course. Tasting, by the way, today as well.
Yeah, there is tasting.
Yeah, tasting today over at Total Wines.
Oh, Total Wine.
Total Wine
in
at Times Square. Yep, exactly.
Yes.
That might be going on right now.
That's
actually.
where Chris and I are going for lunch.
Oh, that's a hell of a lunch, Vinny.
You should see my numbers now.
Hideous.
All right, let's hit these last two Monday night games. The staggered double dip on Monday. And by the way, we get back-to-back weeks of doubleheaders again. Next Monday's a traditional doubleheader. So I think the traditional one's better than the staggered. But hey, what do I know? I'm not running ESPN or the NFL.
I like the staggered better.
You do?
Yeah.
Help with
these two times, 415 and 515.
Does that help with the betting or no?
It's okay with the betting. Here's my thing. Half the games suck.
No, that's true.
Here you got a 50-50 shot. Where I'm just telling you, believe me, we sit there, we watch every game. Half the games suck on Sunday.
It's true.
So here you got a better shot at having a good game, at least one good game.
So let's start with the Buffalo game first. And Chris, that was an alarming game for me with the Bills on Sunday night. That was alarming where they know. Okay, so They needed the miracle comeback to beat Baltimore. They destroyed the Jets, who we now know are terrible. They really screwed around against Miami in week 3. It was a desperate spot for the Dolphins, but Miami's not any good, even when they had Tyreek Hill. And then they really messed around with New Orleans. All right. No problem. You got a big division game on deck, a Sunday night football game on deck. All right, you know what? Maybe it was a flat spot against New Orleans. And then to get beaten that fashion by New England, where I thought New England was the better team for the bulk of the game.
Yes.
And that was alarming. That was alarming for a team that I thought, look, Alex knows my thoughts. Like, I thought Buffalo was going to coast to the 1 seed in the AFC. You said it earlier in the show. Buffalo dumps another game or two they're not supposed to. New England, if New England can keep winning, beating the opponents they should be beating like this week, I think they're live. Bills are 4.5. I actually like the Falcons in this game off the bye week getting the points. But Alex, you and I both know my history with Atlanta. We know how good that history is through the years.
Well, it's funny. You mentioned you like Atlanta. Is another game where I made it 5. When the number came out 4 and 4.5, I says, "Oh God, I like that number better." Because I have the same as you. Now I have not, and I'm just going to double check here. I have not really lowered Buffalo much. I take that back. I got them now as a 99, which usually 100 is my best team in the league, which is Detroit. So I got them a point under Detroit. Now they'd been at 100 or even like 100.5 during most of the year. But a couple games in a row. I mean, one game, okay, you can make an excuse. But, they did not look that good against New England. They did not look that good against New Orleans. They did not look that good against Miami. I mean, that's 3 games in a row. Now, 1 game, even 2 can get you concerned. 3 definitely has you concerned. And like I said, did I go crazy? No, but I did lower them a point, off my rating. So I got them now at a 99 where they were 100.
I've got this game 3.5, so it's a lean with you, Jeff, for the Falcons, but a 1-point difference I don't think is enough for me to jump on. Falcons are coming off a bye week, though, right, Vinny? So they should be up and ready for this, and they're better at home as well so far.
Well, we've said for a while now too that it's going to take probably a month to really find out the true identity of most teams. Sure. I think this is a week for the Bills to say, look, they put a complete game together, and think that's what their mindset is. I mean, obviously the big advantage at quarterback. The defensive injuries are still lingering for them, right, Jeff? They're going
to be lingering all year long, even though Oliver looks like he's going to be ready.
So, but how many downs is he going to play on offense? Which whenever he does, it's an improvement. You have a Falcons team that can run the ball, right? That's what they want to do. But so far the support's come in on the Bills. I think any professionals are looking to see how high this number gets before they jump in and grab the home dog.
Alex, anything here?
Nothing for me.
It kind of feels like I'm duping myself into Atlanta, even though, Chris, that story you said at the beginning was pretty funny, where it's like, well, your numbers came this, and then the market's like that. Like, that number feels bad. Like, that makes a lot of sense.
Sometimes you just have to look at, as a bookmaker, you have to be very open-minded. I always tell one story. I can't remember. We were talking about LSU during one of those years where they were just murdering everybody. Some guy, you can't make the number high enough. I said, really?
73.
I said, yeah. I asked him. I said, well, would you take 100? Well, yeah, I'd take 100. Okay, so we know the numbers somewhere between pick 'em and 100. So it's my job to find out where that number is. But of course, there could be a number that's too high.
Oh, Oklahoma almost didn't cover 100 in that playoff game against LSU that year in 2019. That Burrow team. That was like 63-10 or whatever it was.
Well, still wasn't 100.
Wasn't
as bad as the
Jack
Georgia
Pardee Houston teams.
Oh, yeah.
They put 100 on somebody.
Yeah. Oh, actually, earlier this week was the anniversary of Georgia Tech over Cumberland College.
22-0.
You got it. Exactly.
I remember that one. I teased the dog. No,
last one up. The rematch of a game Ryan McCormick wants to forget, so I won't bring it up any further than I just did. It was a pivot point last year for both of these teams. Now the Commanders, after getting Jaden Daniels back, that was a very impressive performance by Washington last week in L.A.
Yeah.
Their defense played well. Daniels looked enough like himself. They get the win. Now they return home to take on a fresh Bear team that is off the bye. 4.5 and a 50 here in this one, Chris.
Well, I don't know what Ryan's going to do to me. Probably shoot me from the wrong angle. Or I mean, I don't have a bad side. They're both bad sides. But I like Washington in this game. I think I like them. And again, I hate laying big chalk. 4.5. I'm sorry, 4.5 is big chalk in the NFL. But I still like them in this spot. I think this Washington team is very, very legit. By the way, speaking of sleepers to win a division, well, if you can find a good price on Washington, you might want to take that.
Yeah,
especially after last night.
Yeah, right. I'm telling you, if you could find a Sleepy Hollow might have a decent price on Washington, they might be worth a shot. But I like Washington in this spot. I think they are a very, very good team. And, the Bears, I see some improvement for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like Washington in this spot.
Me too. That's going to be my video pick of the week. I already did my video yesterday.
Oh,
so I'm
okay.
with you with Commanders at home here. Like Jeff said, though, impressive win going to L.A., and that's a good Chargers defense. So
Everything going to it, we're going to need the Bears, our side of the counter, no doubt. This number will continue to climb. There'll be more support for the Commanders back in probably, the better quarterback.
So it could go up. Huh,
No, I think it could.
by Monday.
I think so.
Yeah.
I definitely think it's more likely to go up than come down.
I believe that for sure. All right, there we go.
Can I get my 4 picks?
Absolutely.
My NFL picks.
I wasn't going to forget them, Chris.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I forgot them last week.
Oh,
I was
okay.
3-1, by the
That's
way.
because I was driving.
And I was 5-2 in the college. So pretty good week overall. My college picks will come out after 5 o'clock. Here's what I got in the NFL. San Francisco +3, although you can get 3.5 in a lot of spots. New England -3.5. The Lions +2.5 is, pretty 2, whatever in the market. I think there's a lot of 2.5 in the market. And Washington -4.5. That's what I got in the NFL.
Okay. We'll go for an undefeated week.
Yeah, I like those a lot.
Do our best.
Absolutely. I know Ryan does. Ryan may want you to lose.
Ryan might not want me to win that last one. I know. I don't blame him.
No. All right. That's what we got. Great show as always. Football Frenzy, of course, back every Friday, noon Pacific to roughly 2 o'clock. We went a little over today, but we're back with 4 on the desk here today. We got, of course, the regular show, 10 a.m. on Monday. Monday through Friday for that. And, of course, be on the lookout for Gone Racing, Race Day Las Vegas, everything we do here at the studio. Vinny, Chris, thank you as always.
Good job,
Alex, great job as
well
always. Ryan, Sean, thank you guys. I'm Jeff Parles. We will see you again next time right here on the Sports by the Book channel here at the South Point studio.